Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Rinne-Sharingan Naruto falls in love with Rias. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Bratja Rasa and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1, Protector. Rias Gremory was in a pinch. She and her peerage were fighting tooth and nail in their first raiding game against Riser Phoenix and had whittled his forces down to just him and his queen against herself, and her pawn Issei Hayato, the current Red Dragon Emperor, who was in the middle of getting the shit kicked out of him by Riser. Come on Rias. Riser taunted as he punched Issei again. Forfeit the match or else this pawn will die. Don't do it Rias. Issei stated as he shakily stood up again. I can still fight. Issei gasped when he felt something hit his stomach and heard a splash of blood. Riser's hand was going through the teen's torso, his fist of flame burning Issei's body from the inside as well as the outside before he extinguished the flames as he pulled his fist out, causing Issei to twitch as he fell, going into shock. Now forfeit. Riser shouted as Issei started to disappear to be taken out and healed. Rias was in silent shock as she mentally repeated what she saw in her head. Forfeit right now Rias. Riser shouted again as he stepped on Issei's body before it fully vanished. Rias's emotions were frantic. Anger, sadness, murder, blood, kill. 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 Rias's seafoam blue eyes became crimson red and her pupils slits as power swelled from her body. A dark crimson and black power shot upward and hit the barrier surrounding the false school. A bestial roar came from Rias as the power took receded into body. Well, what was her body? What stood before Riser was a monster. Announcer's booth. Sir Zest looked at the screen in disbelief next to his fellow Satans and wife Grafia. No fucking way. Falbium shouted. How can your sister have chakra, let alone that humans? I don't know how, but this is very bad. Seraphal stated, turning to the people at the control station. Pull back everyone besides Rias. If she is alone, she won't attack anyone. Okay. One of the people said as they tried to retrieve Riser and Yubelina, but nothing happened. What's going on? Seraphal demanded frantically. It's not working, it's like that power is negating our commands. The person said. Falsco Academy. It looked like Rias' body shape, but what looked like power OD destruction was covering her body, including her long crimson hair and face. She had white circles for eyes and a jack-o'-lantern mouth. What made her look like a beast with the four tails and fox-like ears on her head? What is this? Riser thought before he signaled Yubelina to attack Rias. Said Queen was going to attack, but was stopped when Rias appeared in front of her and sank her teeth into the woman's arm. Yubelina screamed and was grabbed by her throat before Rias let her arm go. What the hell are you? Yubelina screamed before she was thrown in the air only to be sent flying into the wall. Riser watched as Rias decimated his queen before her attention turned to him. Rias growled before roaring again as she ran at him. Riser took flight, and Rias jumped above him and flipped, making her tail send him to the ground. Riser grunted in pain but cried out in more pain when he felt Rias stomp on his stomach repeatedly like he was a trampoline, and then off of him. This was a short reprieve before she started punching his face, flames bursting to life to repair the damage, but not fast enough with Rias's fast and swift blows to Riser's head. Booth, she is going to kill him, Lord Lucifer. One person shouted at the Satan as they scanned Riser's life signs to show he wasn't good at all. Send someone in to stop her now or else he will die. Sir Zest grimaced, but stood straight as he made up his mind. I'm going in. He stated as he started to activate his magic, when Grafia stopped him. Wait, Lord Lucifer. She stated as she looked at the screen. Something else is happening now. False Academy. Rias continued to roar as she kept punching Riser, who was only moving when she hit him. Inside her mind Rias was crying. Issei. She shouted with tears, which was reflected when her body pulled back. Mouth cracking open and blue and red translucent spheres appeared and started to merge into a black ball. Riser D at the I3. That's enough. Rias stopped. The ball faded as she turned and saw a man she did not recognize, but knew she knew him from somewhere. He had blonde hair, tan skin, whisker marks on his cheeks, an orange long shirt, black pants, and sandals. His eyes were a cerulean blue but when up close you could see that they were slightly faded. Stand down right now. The man ordered. That young man is one attack away from death, and you are violently hurting him. Remove yourself from him now. Rias growled and lunged at the man, arm pulled back and ready to throw, tails whipping in the air. She threw her punch at the man's face. Stay out of my way. Rias shouted tearfully when she landed her punch, only to realize a small black orb stopped her punch. That was a pathetic attack. The man said as he closed his eyes with a sigh. Rias took knot of orange pigment rings appear around the man's eyes before he opened them to see different eye color and pupil. Wizard-type fighters truly are horribly in close quarters. He raised his arm and slapped Rias away, recalling the orb. You don't understand. Rias declared as she cried. He killed Issei. I need to kill him to avenge Issei. The man's eyes widened and went from stern and cold to sympathetic. Revenge won't get you anywhere, he replied. And I won't let a young one like yourself stain your hands with your own kind's blood. The man took one step forward, making Rias fear him. The pressure around her intensified with the second step. As she watched him, Rias saw his forehead bulge a bit before splitting open to reveal a red vertical eye that had black rings and 9 tomo on the rings. Be calm, child, I won't hurt you, he said calmly as he raised his hand. I am here to help you. Bullshit. Rias charged up a second attack that she was going to use earlier and fired it only for it to touch the man's right hand, revealing a small sun-like mark, and disappear. She was shocked. Her body felt weak as he stepped closer. It was like her body could tell this man was out of her league and was trying to run but couldn't. The stress from level 2 seems to have caused possible nerve damage, Naruto thought as he watched Rias's form collapse and pant like a wounded animal. He walked closer and knelt down, lowering his hand. Rias flinched and closed her eyes only to feel him pet her covered head. It is going to be fine, he said smoothly and calmly. I'll make the pain go away and make you better. No, Rias begged, feeling tired, not noticing that the faux body surrounding her was starting to fade. I need this to win. I need to beat him. You won, the man said with a beautiful smile. But hurting that boy further won't make you feel better tomorrow. It will only hurt your heart. For now, rest. Rias's heavy eyelids fully closed as the false chakra body vanished, having been absorbed by the man while he petted her. Her skin had been torn off and she was bleeding badly. Now for the hard part, the man thought as he mentally flexed his fingers and touched Rias's stomach with his hand glowing green, his third eye closing. Who are you? And step away from Rias Gremory. The man turned around, not stopping what he was doing as Rias's skin started to heal up and spread over her body. Name's Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto stated. And I think I like being where I am. Remove. Stand down, Sir Zex shouted. This man is a friend. Let him be. Naruto glanced over his shoulder and saw the Satans and Graphia. Been some time, hasn't it, little Zex? Chapter 2, Turning Back the Clock. Centuries in the past, 17 years before the faction war, Kyoto, Japan. Another small village lost. A woman with golden fox ears and 9 tails wearing a traditional shrine maiden outfit stated as she walked through the remains, the loss weighing heavy on her heart. How much more will those humans take until they leave us alone? This was Miko, the leader of the yokai faction in Kyoto. 1. Lady Miko. One of her followers, a Tanuki yokai, called out, running toward her. What is it? Miko asked as she composed herself. There seems to be no survivors, the person said sadly. However, we feel there is a strong presence, and we can't pinpoint it. I'll take care of it. For now, have everyone retreat back to the capital and I shall return swiftly, Miko ordered, getting a bow. Please be careful, the Tanuki said worriedly. We don't want anything to happen to the successor. Miko patted her currently flat stomach. I won't do anything to put them in danger. Now you have your orders, Miko stated, her followers vanishing. Miko closed her eyes and opened them. Tribal tattoos covered her body now and her eyes were red. 2. With my senjutsu activated, my sensing power is greatly enhanced. She remembered as she indeed felt a presence, and it was fading fast. What shocked her was the fact it was a mix of yokai chakra and senjutsu as strong as hers. Finding the exact location in her heightened state, Miko deactivated her sage mode and ran to the presence. After a few minutes, Miko's ears picked up the faint cries of a baby in the direction she was going, thus picked up her pace even more and soon found the location near the center of the yokai village. The house was on fire, and she could hear the baby's cries even louder. Acting quickly, Miko used her chakra to create water and doused the flames and then entered the house and did the same for the interior. The house was now a wet, charred mess, but the baby was still crying upstairs. Miko made her way upstairs, found the room. Inside it was a baby boy on the floor, a human baby, and it was generating the senjutsu signature Miko felt. As he cried, Miko felt the presence fade completely into the boy's hands and stomach. How is this possible? Miko asked as she stared at the crying infant. No human should have chakra, let alone be able to use senjutsu, and at infancy. Miko made her way over and picked the baby, causing him to calm down and open his eyes to reveal blue cerulean eyes. Miko got a good look at him. He had sun-kissed blonde hair, and 3 whisker-like marks on his face. Judging from this chakra I sense now, he is about 6 to 8 months old, Miko thought as she rocked the baby, making him smile and clap his hands, showing a white circle mark on his right hand and a black crescent moon on his left. Is that how he can channel chakra? Miko thought as she made her way out of the rundown house. Upon returning, Miko was met with shock as she made her way to her trusted friend and doctor, Tsunade. The leader of Kyoto knocked on the door to Tsunade's manor, decorated with slug designs to symbolize her clan and her status of the slug yokai leader. Even though Miko sat at the top of yokai hierarchy, each clan had a leader and once a month they would have meetings. Tsunade's assistant Shizun, a rabbit yokai as indicated by her long black ears, opened the door and was surprised to see Miko holding a baby that was clearly not her own. Greetings, Lady Miko, Shizun said with a bow. Nice to see you again, Shizun. Miko bowed, keeping the baby at an even level. Is Tsunade here? I have a special case for her to look into. Yes, she is, I'll take you to her, Shizun stated as she stepped aside and let the matriarch of yokai into the manor. Miko kept the baby close to her, her motherly instincts having kicked in as she held the babe. Shizun guided her to the large study, and in they found the great doctor and slug queen, Tsunade Senju with a bottle of sake caressing her lips as she chugged it down. 3. Tsunade sighed in satisfaction as she removed the bottle from her face. Humans really have outdone themselves with this. Lady Tsunade Shizen whimpered in embarrassment. Said person looked up and smirked. So, you popped the baby out early? Tsunade asked sarcastically, knowing from the babe's scent and chakra it wasn't Miko's. Miko's face became stern, though she did chuckle a bit. No, but I found him alone in the village that was just destroyed down south at the Kyoto borders. Miko stated as she handed the baby to Tsunade to check over. She unwrapped his bundle and everyone present was shocked to see what appeared to be a sun tattoo on his tiny stomach. What is this? Tsunade asked as she gathered some chakra in her stomach and gently poked the babe's stomach, getting a giggle from the child, making the busted blonde smile a bit while she channeled her chakra into him. I don't know, but I feel like it is important. Miko answered as she pointed to the boy's hands. He had 2 marks on his palms, one of a sun and the other of a crescent moon. Who would tattoo their baby? Shizen asked, very appalled. I don't think these are tattoos. Tsunade spoke as she removed her hand. They are made of chakra. But how can he have it? He is a human. Shizen looked at the baby and sure enough his scent was human. That is impossible. Shizen stated. Only yokai and hanayo are able to use chakra as they are born with chakra coils that channels the chakra through the body. I know that. Miko stated. Surprising thing is, when I found him, he was being protected with a large amount of chakra and senjutsu chakra. The word impossible had lost all meaning at this point. What do you plan on doing with him? Shizen asked as she looked concerned. I will raise him. Miko stated as she rubbed her stomach. He will be my child's friend. You won't use him as a weapon against humanity? Tsunade asked surprised. No, Miko answered, though her chakra did flare up a bit. But that doesn't mean I like humans. The baby started to sniffle from the pressure he felt and started to cry again, causing the enraged Miko to stop immediately and rush to him, picking him up. I'm sorry, little one. She cooed as she rocked him, trying to calm him. Soon the crying stopped and he fell asleep, clutching Miko's outfit in his tiny arms, making the women smile at how cute he was. What are you going to name him? Shizen asked as she walked up to get a better look at him. I don't know. Tsunade thought in silence before standing up and holding her hands out for the babe. After a small amount of effort to not wake the child, Miko and Shizen pried his hands off her clothes and handed him to the slug queen. I have a suggestion. Tsunade said as she looked at him. What is it? Miko asked as she watched her teacher hold the child. My grandson was named Naruto Uzumaki. Tsunade stated, her eyes starting water at the memories of her deceased family. He had blonde hair and similar eyes. So, it's a beautiful name. Miko stated as she watched Tsunade start to tear up. I would be honored to have him named Naruto Uzumaki. Thank you, Miko. Tsunade thanked her student. Miko walked over and hugged her master as Tsunade held the newly named Naruto. After giving Naruto a medical checkup, to make sure he was healthy, Miko took him home and was greeted by her husband. Who is this? Yashimaru, a fellow Kyuubi with black hair, ears, and tails, asked as he saw the child in his pregnant wife's arms. This is Naruto. I found him in the village I went to check out. Miko explained. He is human. Yashimaru blinked as he looked at Naruto, who looked back. A human child? He asked as Miko walked to the baby room they were preparing for their own child. But he has chakra, and a lot of it. Trust me, sweetheart. Miko said softly. He is human. Yashimaru was hesitant, but accepted that his wife wanted this child. Skip, Kyoto. 5 years later, Miko watched her daughter Tamamo play tag with her servant/playmate Naruto in the yard. It has been calm these 5 years. However, he hasn't showed a single trait of senjutsu or that power he had when I found him. Miko thought with slanted eyes. After she returned to the capital with Naruto, there was an uproar. He was a human child, and as such, should have no right to be held by the leader of the yokai or even kept alive. Obviously, Miko and Yashimaru silenced their followers, saying that by taking Naruto and was a step towards peace. Many believed her and accepted her young charge while most disliked him. It got worse when Tamamo was born. A group from the hero faction attacked one of the border villages and Yashimaru went to save it, as Miko was still recovering from childbirth, and he sacrificed himself to buy time for his people to escape. However, the citizens were a different matter. He is a filthy human, and yet he is allowed to play with the princess? He could hurt her. Many complaints boiled down to that in words, but the core was the older generation's anger of mistreatment by humans, as being killed or kept as slaves. Miko closed her eyes and shook her head. I don't regret saving him. Miko thought as she looked at the children again. Naruto's hair was spiky beyond belief and was very wild. He had an upbeat attitude, and was always smiling. Even though he hadn't used it since she found him, Naruto still had chakra coils producing chakra. But it was huge compared to most children his age. His chakra potency was almost at the level of the 15th strongest in the Kyoto's defense force. Her daughter Tamamo had golden blonde hair, like her, and was adept at using magic and chakra. She was 5 years old and could already use her chakra to climb trees with whole hands and walk on water while Naruto struggled due to his lack of control. Still, Miko smiled. I am very proud of them both. Come on Tamamo, that isn't fair. Naruto cried out when he grabbed Tamamo only for her to vanish in a puff of smoke, revealing it was a clone. Haha, nothing in the rules that say I can't use clones, Naruto. Tamamo said cheekily with a smile as she appeared behind Naruto, who turned and tried to tag her but missed again. Miko watched them play for another 10 minutes before she clapped her hands, getting the children's attention. That is enough for now, you two, Miko stated as she walked up to them. Naruto was pouting, knowing she wanted Tamamo to go practice her magic and chakra while he had to continue his exercises. He made his way over to Tsunade's manor, ignoring the sneers he had thrown at him. He heard whispers of the Kyoto yokai citizens every day when it was time for training, and he became a master of ignoring them, despite being 6. Why was I even spared? He thought when he made his way to the outer rim of the capital, the slug sector where the slug yokai lived, and made his way to Tsunade's manor. He knocked on the door, and Shizen answered to see her favorite child besides the princess. Welcome back, Naruto, Shizen said happily as she hugged him tightly. It's good to be back, Naruto replied with a smile as he hugged his older sister figure. Follow me, Lady Tsunade is out in the field now, so let's not keep her waiting, Shizen stated as she took his hand, feeling his chakra brush against hers through their hands. Over the years, Shizen and Tsunade had kept an eye on the marks on his hands and stomach, finding nothing wrong with him. However, they noticed that once a year, October 10th, Naruto's chakra would increase drastically. Every time it happened, his chakra would change and feel different. When he turned 1, it felt like a tanuki. When he turned 2, it felt like a feline. When he turned 3, it felt like a turtle. When he turned 4, it felt like a monkey. When he turned 5, it felt like a horse. And recently it felt like a slug. Naruto never noticed, never showed any difference in personality. But it caused worry for Tsunade, Shizen, and Miko. Shaking her head, Shizen led Naruto out and to Tsunade. Tsunade smiled when she saw her grandson and hugged him, and soon was catching him every time he was shot off a tree from his chakra when he tried to climb it. Meanwhile, Miko was having tea with her other master and leader of the toads, Jiraiya. So, how is Naruto doing since I have been gone? Jiraiya asked as he sipped his tea. He is doing well, but his progress with his training is going slow, Miko stated sadly. Is it because you are pushing him too hard, or that you haven't asked him what he wants to be trained in? Jiraiya asked. Miko stayed silent. You want him to be a human weapon? Miko blinked. No, that is not what, but your actions show otherwise, Jiraiya interrupted. Yes, you are not outwardly cruel to him, but this training at such a young age is definitely cause for concern, Miko. Jiraiya was about to continue, but looked out the window. Suddenly a large amount of nature energy was drawn to a single place, Tsunade's manor. Without thinking, Miko jumped out the open window, followed by Jiraiya, and ran as fast as she could to the manor, and when she arrived, Miko found a heavily wounded Tsunade cuddling a crying Naruto while Shizen healed Tsunade's wounds. Around them were the bodies of devils and yokai from the capital. Miko went to check on him but stopped when he looked at her and Jiraiya. He had orange rings around his eyes and pale yellow eyes with his pupils as thick horizontal bars. His body was full of nature energy, perfectly balanced, and thus his eyes seemingly mutated into a yokai, possibly toad or frog, to show that he was using sage mode. Mom, he choked out as he cried. What happened? Miko asked as she got closer and took him from Tsunade and Shizen, all of them feeling the senjutsu fade out of his body, his eyes returning to normal. We were out here training when these men appeared, Shizen responded as she finished healing her master's wounded body. They said that they wanted Naruto. Tsunade responded tiredly. Obviously we struggled, but when I got stabbed in the stomach, Naruto, I don't know what to say. Naruto said nothing as he listened, not even knowing what happened himself. I saw Granny Tsunade get hurt. He choked out in Miko's embrace. I was so scared, then I felt warm and fuzzy, and then I blacked out. Miko's heart began to get heavy as she calmed the 6-year-old down as fear slowly sank into her heavy heart. Such raw power. It was even greater than what I felt when I found him as a baby. Miko returned to the capital after telling Shizen to write a report to give to her the next day, and placed Naruto in his bed with Tamamo next to her. Tamamo was worried and refused to leave her friend's side and ended up sleeping with Naruto on the futon, her 9 tails wrapping around her and him, her ears down in worry as she held him in her sleep. Miko left the room, and silently returned to her room and sat at her desk. What should I do? She thought as she began to think on what she wanted for her children. He is strong, but he isn't. That power was called out when he was in danger, so a dawning look appeared on Miko's face before it became one of self-loathing. Chapter 2, done. Chapter 3, Love While War. 2 years later, again, Naruto, age 8 and covered in bruises and cuts, looked up terrified at Miko as she looked down at him, a silent, seething anger behind her eyes. His stomach hurt from just being hit, and his eyes filled with fear tears as he could feel the wrath-filled chakra inside Miko. Lady Miko, I believe the boy has had enough training for the day, Jiraiya interrupted sternly. This type of training is so much for a mere 8-year-old human. Ever since Tsunade, Naruto and Shizen were attacked, Jiraiya had not gone on any journeys to keep an eye of Naruto. He would help train Naruto, who took a great liking to Jiraiya, calling him pervy sage, much to Jiraiya's dislike. However, most of Naruto's training came from Miko. He is fine, Miko growled at the toad. Now stand up and assume the stance again, Naruto. Trembling, Naruto stood up, doing as his mother/teacher told him to do, but his legs and arms were shaking as he stood before her. Stop shaking. Miko nearly shouted. You are a human who can use chakra, you can't be acting like a scared child. But that is what he is. Jiraiya snapped, getting tired of this. Naruto, come with me now. Jiraiya, Miko started to say before the Master Toad Sage grabbed the blonde boy and vanished. Miko clenched her hands before unclenching them, tension leaving her body as she exhaled and left to her room. Once her door was shut, Miko fell to her knees and started crying. I am doing this for his own good, she thought as she hiccuped. He needs to be strong. Naruto is strong, but he can't use that power easily. Despite all that I have put him through, why doesn't he call on that power? Outside the door, Tamamo listened to her mother cry with her ears lying flat against her head. She too had been training alongside Naruto, but her training wasn't as bad as Naruto's. For the last 2 years, Tamamo had to watch as her mother pushed Naruto hard, sometimes yelling at him to reveal his power. What power has her this worked up? Tamamo wondered before she left to go to Tsunade for her medical training. She arrived to see Jiraiya there with Shizen as Tsunade healed a trembling and crying Naruto. Tamamo walked over and when he saw her, he flinched. Neru? Tamamo asked, saddened he moved from her. Naruto's eyes were wide and scared. It's okay, Naruto, Shizen said soothingly. It's just Tamamo. Naruto looked up again and saw it was indeed Tamamo. Tama? He asked timidly. Neru. The young kitsune embraced her friend as he started to cry in her arms. Seeing that he was healed, Tsunade and Jiraiya left the children and Tamamo's training in Shizen's hands for the day as they went upstairs to talk. It's getting out of hand, Jiraiya stated as he and Tsunade poured sake. I know that, Tsunade answered. I heal his wounds every day. Lady Miko trains him. But why does she do this? Jiraiya nearly shouted. She has no reason to do this to him. He is nothing but a child, yet the exercises she uses are meant for adults. Is she trying to kill him? I don't know, Tsunade answered honestly. Miko and I have best friends for decades. She loved humans at one point, Yashimaru especially interested in their culture. He loved Naruto just as much as Miko does, but he was taken too soon when Tamamo was born. Jiraiya sighed as he looked down in the courtyard as Tamamo was mimicking Shizen in her healing chakra skills with Naruto nearby watching in amazement. Tamamo seems to care for him? Tsunade stated when she watched the small kitsune cheer when she healed a small bird. Exceptional skills in healing to boot. I think they will make a perfect couple. Don't get too excited, Jiraiya replied seriously. He won't be around for long. What does Tsunade started before it dawned on her? You are going to kill him? No, I'm taking him away from here, Jiraiya replied, tilting his head to let Tsunade's fist bury into the wall. Are you out of your mind? Tsunade shouted, her healing mucus splashing from her. Miko will not allow that at all, and if you just take him you will be considered a traitor. Jiraiya looked into the Slug Queen's eyes. What Miko is doing will eventually kill him, or worse, make him so angry that he unleashes the power you saw on her and the yokai faction. I don't care if I am seen as a traitor, as long as my student is safe and trained with love and care. I couldn't give a fuck with what Miko or anyone else thinks. Tsunade removed her fist from the wall and sat down again against the window. I don't like this at all, she stated sadly, her eyes tearing up as memories over the last 8 years flooded her mind. He was nothing but a troublesome baby, always crying, needing attention. She wiped her eyes of the liquid. I love him so much, and it pains me to see him when he is training with Miko. Tsunade turned to her fellow clan leader. You best take care of him, Jiraiya. I promise you I will, Jiraiya stated as he poured more sake. He will become strong under my care. That night, capital, Naruto tossed and turned on his bed, unable to sleep. His breathing was uneven and his body overheated. He could hear his heart beat clearly as he focused on trying to go to sleep, which was evading him. Why? He thought as he looked out his window, seeing the moon. Why does Mom hate me so much? Is it because I'm human? He bolted up when he heard a knock on his door. Composing himself, Naruto walked over and opened it to see Tamamo standing there in the same sleeping yukata as him, sliding different colors, holding a stuffed animal, which was a slug. Neru, can I sleep here tonight? Tamamo asked shyly, but Lady Miko said. Tamamo bolted forward and held him tightly. Please, she choked. I don't want to be left alone right now. Naruto was confused and scared. Miko had forbid him from being near Tamamo at night. Naruto sighed and held Tamamo. Like her mother, Tamamo had a connection to the ley lines. An ancient power that spread throughout Kyoto, and each destined ruler of Kyoto had a strong connection to it. Through these lines connected the senjutsu into the leader when necessary. However, Tamamo had such a strong connection to the ley lines, she had the power to sense emotions, and currently she was being overpowered by them again. Recently, lots of humans, devils, and fallen angels have been attacking their borders and kidnapping yokai. Tamamo could feel the anger in the survivors and their sadness. Her violet eyes widened in fear before she closed them and pressed herself against Naruto's body, her face in his neck as she cried harder. Naruto wrapped his arms around the crying princess, her fluffy tails bunched around his and her waist as he shut the door and shuffled over to the bed, where she clung to him, crying. Having her near him, soothing whatever was bothering him as the two children were sound asleep, covered in Tamamo's golden tails. However, this peace was destroyed when Miko took Naruto away the next morning and he was hurt yet again by Miko trying to force him to reveal his power. Jiraiya, Tsunade watched in silent anger as Miko punched Naruto hard in the stomach, causing a mix of blood and vomit to erupt from his mouth as Miko went for a second. Stop! Miko stopped with wide eyes as Tamamo stood in front of her, arms out with her tails trembling behind her over Naruto's tired and hurt form. Tamamo, Miko stated as she stood up straight and looked at her daughter. Move aside. I'll get to training you in a few minutes. No! Tamamo yelled. You will stop hurting him now. Step aside, Tamamo. Miko growled, not in the mood to play around. Tamamo entered the stance her mother had taught her. Miko's eyes slanted before they widened and she activated her senjutsu form, with the red tattoos littering her skin and her eyes becoming red. Her senjutsu flooded the room. Tamamo nearly buckled under the pressure her mother released. Her body wanted to drop and submit, but her will kept her standing. Step aside. Now. Miko stated slowly as she glared at her children, her daughter barely able to stand while her friend weakly hid under Tamamo's tails. The room was flooded with more senjutsu as Tsunade and Jiraiya stepped forward. Jiraiya's body looked more toad-like, his nose being bigger and his eyes having toad pupils. Tsunade's body was covered in black marking coming from the jewel on her forehead. Stand down now, Miko. Tsunade ordered. Miko knew a fight between her and one of them she would most likely win thanks to her connection to the ley lines. But if she fought both of them, she would have a hard time and possibly all of Kyoto would be destroyed, leaving the yokai vulnerable. Inhaling, then exhaling, Miko exited her senjutsu as did Jiraiya and Tsunade, who turned to the children and ushered them outside to check them over and heal them. I see this is your choice. Jiraiya stated as he and the leader of Kyoto stared at each other. I see that means that I have to do what I had planned. What are you talking about? Miko asked, not liking what Jiraiya was saying. I will be taking a trip, Jiraiya stated. And Naruto will be coming with me to train for the journey. Out of the question. Miko stated. He is to remain here for his training under me. Take your precious trip, but Naruto stays out of it. Both re-entered senjutsu. Neither one held anything back. Courtyard. All of Kyoto, for the second time that day, felt Miko's senjutsu and Jiraiya's senjutsu, but instead of being calm, they were filled with rage and then one was silenced. Naruto ran up and opened the door to see his teacher on the floor, his arm missing, and several stab wounds in his torso as his blood spread across the floor. Miko turned and her eyes widened when she felt nature energy be pulled to the child as he looked on in horror at what his mother figure had done. Naruto's eyes filled with tears and he gripped his chest. His heart hurt, not physically, but emotionally as his eyes became toad-like and then he looked tearfully at Miko as she turned, realizing what she had done, and forced him to see. Ayak! Naruto screamed and gripped his head. He saw visions of 6 orange-haired men with ripple-pattern eyes standing over Jiraiya, similar wounds on him as he did now. Naruto felt a hand on his head and looked up and saw Jiraiya, covered in blood, smiling at him. The intake of nature energy slowed and stemmed as Naruto registered that Jiraiya was alive and hugged his master. Miko stood by as Shizen and Tsunade entered the room and took Jiraiya away, leaving Naruto with Miko. Naruto, I hate you! Miko stepped back at this outburst. Naruto was still overflowing with senjutsu as he tearfully glared at Miko. Don't talk to me again. You are not my family. He yelled before storming off, following the 2 clan heads. Miko's eyes widened as it dawned upon her what she had done was something she would never be forgiven for. What have I done? She thought as she fell to her knees, grasping her head while tears flooded her eyes. Skip 9 years, war. That is what the human world, and thus the yokai world, had been subjected to the last 3 years. The faction war was in full swing, all sides, devils, angels, fallen angels, and now the yokai faction the last month, had lost many lives and the human world was suffering. Humans fled their homes as their battles ravaged the land and boiled the seas. Miko led her people alongside the yokai clan heads and heads of all other monsters/yokai clan heads from all over the world, and right beside Jiraiya and Tsunade stood Naruto, age 17. He was one of 3 leaders of his squad, Lukoa the Quetzalcoatl and Sun Wukong, the great sage equal to heaven. They were one of the strongest groups under the leadership of those 3. 1-2. Naruto had gotten strong and Miko was impressed by his mastery over his senjutsu thanks to Jiraiya. Jiraiya, now crippled due to his spinal cord being severed, could not take his trip and had to leave it to one of his spies. Though he did teach Naruto everything he could about senjutsu, but techniques were out of the question. Though Naruto had a natural affinity with senjutsu, so Jiraiya had little to teach, but he was still very proud. Many more battles burned the human world, the factions making a ceasefire to deal with a pesky white and red dragon fighting. But then the war resumed and Naruto was constantly outmatched. Yes, he was a master of senjutsu, but his body was still human. Currently it was a break period between all factions, a 1-week truce to heal as much as possible and then fight again. Damn it! Naruto shouted as he fell off his bed, clutching his head. His body covered in bandages. His head felt like something was trying to surface, and he could vaguely hear voices, 9 in total trying to call out to him, but always falling short. And memories. Naruto's mind. Naruto walked aimlessly in the darkness. He had no idea where he was or if he was still alive. He could feel a familiarity, but it was vague. After walking for who knows how long, he saw a faint light. Naruto decided to go towards it, and after many hours of walking he was confronted with a fruit. It looked similar to a peach, but was a deeper violet than a peach, which was pink. However, Naruto knew it wasn't a normal fruit from the massive amounts of chakra within it. The fruit may have been small, the chakra inside of it was near the level of power 666 possessed, maybe even more. Gingerly, Naruto grasped the fruit and pulled it to his face. Contemplation was what happened for the next unknown amount of time before the human grit his teeth, and then sank them into the fruit. It's good to see you again, Naruto. Human world. Tsunade sighed tiredly as she placed a wet cloth on Naruto's forehead. It had been a month since the death of Miko, thus their faction was without a leader, but they weren't the only one. Leviathan and Asmodeus were killed by 666 while God died sealing the creature away a week ago. Yet the three factions fought while the yokai faction decided to retreat in fear and confusion. How can this get any worse? Tsunade thought sadly as she removed her hands from Naruto's head and checked his body again. He was fully healed but would not wake up. Which is why Tsunade was frightened when his eyes opened and he shot up. Jesus, don't scare me like that, Naruto! Tsunade shouted as she decked Naruto in the head. Unfazed by the action, Naruto looked at her. How long was I out? Tsunade noticed something was off immediately when he did not react to her hitting him like she always did. His eyes were now a slightly faded blue, so faint that it was barely noticeable but Tsunade could see it. Tsunade explained what was happening and Naruto listened, not interrupting her at all. Naruto stood up and walked out, not even stopping when Tsunade told him to, and he vanished when the tent flaps closed behind him. Tent. Lukoa and Ryukan had stayed behind to wait for their friend to wake. Do you think Naruto is going to be alright? Lukoa asked, as she checked her sake for curses. She was always careful when drinking alcohol since her fall from heavenly grace. I trust him. Ryukan stated as he downed his sake. He is strong, he would not let something like this keep him down for long. Lukoa nodded sadly, her heterochromatic eyes holding intense sadness and worry. You are right, Naruto said as he opened their tent. It did not keep me down. Naruto! Both deities shouted when they saw him, giving him a big hug. What took you so long? Wukong asked as he punched Naruto's arm. Are you sure you should be walking? Lukoa asked worriedly. Naruto smiled and nodded before he became serious. I need to ask you two a favor. Naruto stated as he looked at his teammates. Battlefield. The factions were tired. It is what war does when it goes on for years. Michael and Gabriel were starting to worry as the angels too the most casualties out of the three factions. Lucifer and Beelzebub were starting to lose their lust for battle. Kokobeel was excited as the fallen angels lost the least number of warriors, but Azazel was getting tired of war along with Shemhazai. This is it. The heads of each faction thought. The final wave of this war. Right as they started to charge, Naruto, Wukong, and Lukoa appeared in the center of them all, stoic and calm. Who are you? Kokobeel shouted, angered by this group. Everyone could feel Naruto was human, and all knew Wukong and Lukoa, and all thought what could they want. Naruto took a deep breath. I am Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto stated loudly, all members hearing him. And this war end, now. Many warmongers laughed, as if a human could stop any of us. A random devil shouted. Naruto's composure never faltered while Wukong and Lukoa growled, and were about to retaliate, but Naruto held his arm out, halting them. It ends now. Naruto stated before he pointed to the devils. You have lost 2 Satans. He points to the fallen angels. You have lost many warriors. He pointed to the angels. You lost God. Naruto took another breath. We of the yokai faction lost almost half of our citizens and our leader. A moment of silence let those that wanted peace to realize this. Every faction has lost something. Naruto stated. So, to preserve your lives, end this now with peace. You work together to defeat the sky dragons, and due to them the yokai faction was pulled into the war. Now leave and return home. Kokobeel, getting tired of this talk, manifested a large light spear. Enough of this garbage. Kokobeel shouted as he threw the spear at the lowly human scum. Lukoa jumped in front of Naruto, but was shocked when he appeared before her. Naruto's body was engulfed in golden energy, and the spear was repelled back and it dissipated. The energy dimmed and Naruto stood before the factions. He looked like a battle-hardened sage with his clothes being made of golden yellow chakra and black clothes. Behind him were 6 black floating orbs. His eyes were yellow with a fox-slit pupil mixed with a toad bar pupil. His whisker marks covered in solid black bars. 2 of his bangs floated up to look similar to horns. On his forehead was a vertical third eye. It was blood red with a ripple pattern and 9 tomo on the ripples. Those who still thirst for battle may stay and fight us, but be warned. The 12 of us won't hold back. Naruto declared. Ha! You must have lost your mind. Kokobeel shouted as he laughed but stopped when 9 massive figures formed from Naruto's power. A tanuki with 1 tail, a Nikomata with 2 tails, a turtle with 3 tails, a monkey with 4 tails, a horse with 5 tails, a slug with 6 tails, a beetle with 6 wings and 1 tail, an ox with 8 tails, and a kitsune with 9 tails. They were constructs of chakra made of Naruto's golden yellow chakra with black markings on their bodies like Naruto's. 1. What is this power? Everyone, including Lukoa and Ryukan, thought. The weaker members of every faction collapsed and shook at this power, while the stronger ones could feel it, and knew he was now as strong as 666, possibly stronger. Nearby, hiding their power, was a small child with long pitch black hair, silver eyes, and she wore a simple clothed dress. This was Ophis, the infinite dragon god, Ouroboros dragon. He has awakened his power. Ophis thought happily. I can't wait to hold you in my arms, Ashura. I am at full power while all of you can barely stand, let alone fight. Naruto stated, getting chuckles from the tailed beasts. Come on, let's slaughter them, Naruto. Shikaka laughed sadistically as sand whipped around his ethereal body. Naruto stayed silent as he felt the emotions of the factions, thanks to Kurama's negative emotion sensing and Senjutsu's sensory power being enhanced by his Byakugan. No. Naruto stated. They are going to leave. As he said this, the angels gathered and returned to heaven. The devils and fallen angels returned to the underworld. Lukoa and Ryukan looked at Naruto. What will we do now? Koko asked curiously before she and the other tailed beasts were returned to Naruto's body as he powered down. Now we rebuild. Chapter 3, done. Chapter 4, Cycle of Life. The gray skies wept heavy rain as Naruto, Tamamo, Tsunade, Jiraiya, Ryukan, Lukoa, and a few other yokai leaders in Japan and from around the world watched as Miko was buried. The burial led by an elder of the faction called Baba. Tamamo was crying as she watched her mother vanish beneath the cold earth, and Naruto held her as she cried, no tears in his eyes. He, obviously, was powered down to base power. However, there was one tell sign of his dramatic change, and it was the closed eye on his forehead. The eyelids were visible for everyone to see. So, you did not care for her? Kurama asked Naruto from within the mindscape. She took care of me and loved me, Kurama. Naruto responded as everyone separated for the small after-gathering. How could I not care? Her form of training was attempted murder. Chome spoke up. From what we saw when we reunited, she was not a loving mother. The tailed beasts agreed as Naruto cut his connection when his teammates that survived the war approached him. Naruto, Ryukan said worriedly as he saw Tamamo. Are you doing all right? Yes, I'm fine, Ryukan. Naruto replied as he sat down with Tamamo, with Lukoa sitting next to her. There, Lukoa said, wearing Aztec clothing and a cape adorned with rainbow-colored feathers, as Tamamo hugged her, face planting in her giant breasts. Big sis, Lukoa is here. Tamamo cried into Lukoa's chest and babbled for several minutes, while Naruto silently listened. Everyone mourned at their own pace, and eventually, the party ended with Naruto bidding his teammates farewell for the evening, before he returned home with Tsunade, Jiraiya, Shizen and Tamamo, who was asleep with tear stains on her cheeks. Naruto took Tamamo to her room and ran some water in a basin and used a wet cloth to clean her face and a dry towel to dry her face before he changed her into her night attire, and joined her in bed. Where will we start rebuilding? Matatabi asked as she cleaned her flames. Tamamo will need to be crowned successor to the throne. Naruto told them. Then, I'll need to reverse all the damage the earth suffered from this war. Meaning you will be gone for months on end, right? Saiken asked. You can't leave, Tamamo will need you during the pregnancy. Naruto silently agreed, but knew the world needed him too. So, early the next morning, Naruto woke up refreshed and fully healed. Tamamo was crowned successor and watched sadly as Naruto, Ryukan, and Lukoa left, knowing they were doing what was best, but did not want her beloved to go. 7 months pass. Tamamo has been establishing new sections of Kyoto, helping those in need and sheltering those who need living in the capital palace while they rebuild their homes. Now 8 months pregnant, Tamamo heard stories of Naruto, Ryukan, and Lukoa traveling around the world and miraculously restoring the landscape through various means. While this made Tamamo happy, she was worried Naruto would not return on time for their baby to be born. Jiraiya and Tsunade helped, both with leading Kyoto and helping her through her pregnancy in Naruto's place. Each day was slow and repetitive, with no end in sight for Tamamo as her hormones and emotional instability kept getting worse the longer Naruto was gone. Currently, Tamamo was brushing her short hair, wearing a loose and simple kimono as it was nighttime in the spring of Kyoto, and her swollen belly suddenly hurt when the baby kicked. Pressing gently against her child, Tamamo's eye twitched. It's all right, little one. Tamamo whispered to her baby. The baby kicked again, then again. Tamamo felt massive amounts of discomfort as she pressed her belly. About to call for Tsunade, worried something was wrong, a hand gently caressed her stomach. Easy there, little one, or you might hurt your mommy. A voice said as the kicking stopped immediately. Tamamo's eyes widened as she turned and saw Naruto kneeling next to her rubbing her stomach. Neru? She muttered in disbelief. Naruto nodded and then grimaced when he felt a senjutsu-enhanced fist collide with his face. What took you so long? Tamamo shouted aggressively as her 9 tails swayed dangerously behind her. I have a good reason. Naruto said calmly as he touched Tamamo's stomach again and pressed his face against it, the baby kicking again, as if it knew who was there. Oh, Tamamo said slightly calmer but still upset. So, what was so important it took nearly 8 months for you to return? Naruto chuckled and stood up, pulling Tamamo closer and rubbed his cheek against hers, which she returned, purring. I want to show you something. Naruto stated. What is it? Tamamo asked before she tensed and blushed when Naruto picked her up bridal style with ease. What are you doing, Nero? Taking you someplace special. Naruto stated with a cheeky grin before he closed his eyes, focused his chakra, and his third eye open. Tamamo felt his power for the second time. The first was 7 months prior when he ended the war, but she hadn't seen it up close. It wasn't as strong as it was before, but the power in the eye was powerful enough that she could feel it. Beautiful, she said as she looked at him. Thought you would be freaked out, Naruto said as he focused his chakra through his Rinne-Sharingan and a portal appeared. Carrying Tamamo, Naruto entered the portal and stepped out in a beautiful valley. There at the waterfall were 2 giant statues. One was of Tamamo's likeness and the second of Naruto's, who was kneeling and holding Tamamo's hand. Tamamo covered her mouth when Naruto let her stand, and when she turned to look at him, Naruto was on his knee, with a diamond wedding ring in his hand. Tamamo, will you marry me? Naruto asked. Tamamo, crying tears of happiness, flung herself at Naruto, hugging him tightly. Yes, 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 yes. She shouted happily as she was spun around, laughing. Naruto let her slide down to her feet and kissed her lips before holding out her hand and placing the ring on her finger. Tamamo smiled as she looked at the ring before a very sharp pain shot through her, forcing her to grab her swelled stomach and cry out in pain. Tama? Naruto shouted worriedly. It's time, Tamamo said painfully, looking up to see Naruto's face in slight confusion. The baby is coming now. Kyoto. Shizen was humming as she trimmed her bonsai tree in silence of nature. The moon was full, giving her enough light to see, and the subtle sounds of the wind kept her cool but not too cold. Shizen was at peace, until a loud crash scared her, and she accidentally clipped much of her poor bonsai off. Tsunade, Shizen, anyone, we need help. Hearing her name and recognizing the voice, Shizen ran from the tree and into the slug manor, and saw Naruto holding Tamamo, who was holding her belly, and in pain from her breathing pattern, her sweating face, and cries of pain. The baby? Shizen stated as she led Naruto to the medical bay of the manor, and ordered one of the servants to get Tsunade up. Naruto soon placed Tamamo down, and held her hand as many nurses and Shizen helped her get ready as Tsunade prepared to guide her through her labor. Naruto had fought in the faction war, but nothing scared him more than Tamamo in labor for 5 hours before she dilated to 10 cm and then spent over an hour screaming and crushing his hand as she pushed their child out of her. However, the pain was worth it when the cries of a healthy baby girl was heard. Hot water and towels, Tsunade ordered as she clipped the umbilical cord connecting Tamamo to her daughter. Tama? Naruto whispered to his tired fiancée. Her face was sweaty and pale, her short golden hair lost some color, but she was peacefully sleeping at the moment. Shizen walked over and helped Naruto wipe the sweat off Tamamo while Tsunade cleaned the baby before wrapping her in a blanket and placing her in Tamamo's arms, which Naruto positioned to hold their daughter. Tamamo woke up the next day, sore and tired, but felt a small weight on her chest and arms. She looked down to see her unnamed daughter sleeping peacefully with Naruto sleeping in a chair next to the bed. At that moment, the door to the room opened and Jiraiya wheeled himself in, taking notice Tamamo was awake. Sorry, Jiraiya whispered. Did I wake you? Tamamo shook her head. No, you didn't. She softly replied before she looked at her daughter and held her up closer, gently stroking her soft cheek, making the infant's eye to twitch. She had small patch of golden hair like herself, and very small fox ears on her head. She had no tails currently. All yokai with animal traits like tails would not show them until 3 months old, but the ears were there as they were not as big or risks of childbirth to the mother. She is adorable, Jiraiya stated as he watched the mother and daughter. Do you have a name picked? I want to name her Yasaka, Tamamo stated as she looked at her sleeping fiancé. Nero will agree with me, Jiraiya smiled. Will you be her godfather? Tamamo asked. Jiraiya blinked. Tamamo did not like the silent pause that took place before Jiraiya nodded. Tamamo looked at Yasaka and then at Jiraiya. You want to hold her? Tamamo asked. Jiraiya wheeled himself as close as he could and reached out as Tamamo carefully removed Yasaka from her chest and into the toad's arms. Jiraiya, a master of Toad Senjutsu and leader of the Toad clan, felt immense pride and love for this baby he held swell in his heart as she woke up and opened her eyes, blinded by the dull light nearby. Her eyes settled on Jiraiya and she giggles before she reached out to him. Tamamo watched with a smile as Jiraiya played with Yasaka before she glanced at Naruto, who was still asleep. Using one of her tails, Tamamo brought Naruto to her and held him into her breasts, and fell asleep again. Noticing that Yasaka's parents were asleep, Jiraiya wheeled himself and Yasaka out, and handed the babe to Shizen, who took Yasaka to the nursery. 1 month passes and the entire continent was happy. Tamamo and Naruto were getting married, Yasaka in her mother's arms instead of flowers on this day. Naruto sat next to the Queen of Kyoto as king, and this was not accepted by all. Those who had despised him as a child left Kyoto when they heard of his wedding to the queen, and would not stand to live under him. Next to the couple were Jiraiya, Tsunade, Lukoa, and Ryukan, who was the life of the party with his duplicate magic, transformation magic and his overall superb acrobatic skills. Lukoa had brought exotic fruit and food from her culture with her as a gift to the newlyweds and prayed for their good fortune. Soon, Lukoa was on the table, dancing away getting hollered at, and cat called as she was a very voluptuous woman. However, the festivities were cut short when Naruto sensed devils nearby at the border of Kyoto. Nara Tamamo said when she felt them too. They are in trouble. They are hurt. Naruto's hands twitched. He did not like devils very much, but if his wife was concerned, then he might as well check them out. Naruto entered Sage mode, pinpointing where the devils were, and slowly slipped out of the celebrations. You are really whipped, Naruto. Son Goku the Four Tails laughed. Naruto smirked but overall ignored the beast as he left the party and activated a portal with his Rinne-Sharingan while in Sage mode. Stepping through it, Naruto was hundreds of miles away and could see no one there, but could sense them with Sage mode. Now I get to try this out, Naruto thought as he deactivated his Rinne-Sharingan. Byakugan. Naruto's veins around his eyes bulged and became prominent as his vision expanded and easily found the devils with his Sage mode. There were 4 and they seemed unable to get closer. Naruto had applied seals to strengthen the existing barrier around Kyoto, which acted as the border, but now it prevented any unwanted beings in Kyoto. Manly devils and fallen angels. This is actually pretty cool, Naruto thought with giddiness as he spied on the 14 devils. There were 3 men and 1 woman, who was very busted from what Naruto saw as the Byakugan showed black and white silhouettes with the chakra points. But since they were devils they had no chakra points. Deactivating the dojutsu, Naruto walked to them and made his presence known. All 4 devils felt a familiar power burst to life as they all turned and saw Naruto walking casually to them, dressed in an elegant male kimono, chest open, with his eyes showing his Sage mode was active. Well, Naruto stated in a disapproving tone. Looks like we have some unwanted guests on my border. Naruto Uzumaki, said Sage looked at the one who called his name, and knew he was a Gremory from the Crimson Hair. I am Surzex Gremory, Surzex introduced himself. And with me are Serafal Citri, Ajuka Astaroth, and Falbium Glaciolabilis. Naruto nodded. Alright, now that we are acquainted by name, why are you here? Naruto asked as he sat on air, cross-legged, making the devils blink at what he was doing. Surzex took a breath and then fell to his hands and knees, pressing his head against the ground. Please, he said loudly. Train me and my friends. Naruto raised an eyebrow, then the other as the other 3 joined Surzex on the ground, prostrating themselves. Why should I give up my precious time training a possible enemy? Naruto asked. We need to get strong. Falbium stated, still face in the dirt. We need to become strong because the Satan faction is too strong for us, of the anti-Satan faction, to deal with for much longer. What has the underworld split? Naruto asked, internally surprised to hear of this. After the faction war you ended 9 months ago, the surviving 2 Satans died from their injuries, and their children wanted to take the throne. Serafal explained. We in our group want new Satans, and thus a civil war erupted. And you want to involve my people in the civil war? Naruto asked aggressively. No, we want you to train us so we don't get the human world involved, thus your people would not have to face war again. Ajuka said. Please, we want the war to end, because if we continue, we will be wiped out entirely. Naruto was quiet, trying to decide on what to do. I don't feel any negative emotions coming from them, but they are devils, so we should use Tsukuyomi. Kurama urged with the other beasts. It's the best way to figure out if they are lying. Naruto thought about it. Stand up, you 4. Naruto said as he stood up from his air chair and walked to the barrier. The 14 devils looked up and gasped as their eyes glazed over and became lidded, their eyes gaining the same pattern as the Rinne-Sharingan on Naruto's forehead as he activated Tsukuyomi and started questioning them. Meanwhile, old Baba stood alone at the wedding. She had just watched the princess become queen and then married holding the small bastard child known as Yasaka, disapproving of the latter too. To think our royalty is now tainted by human blood. Baba thought as she walked outside to the courtyard of the old compound. Baba saw Tsunade and Jiraiya, drinking directly from large sake basins. Hey old bat. Jiraiya shouted with a cheerful laugh. Come have a drink. Baba said nothing as she sat with the 2 of them. So, Tsunade muttered as she poured the seer her drink. I heard you stopped talking to Tamamo a few months back? Care to explain why? Baba's eyes narrowed as she sipped her booze. We had a disagreement where we both stood strongly on our opinions and were unable to come to an understanding. Baba stated. Tsunade listened carefully as Jiraiya chugged his sake, sighing happily as he leaned back, propped on some prototype prosthetic legs that Tsunade had been making the last month. Baba soon left, leaving a sour taste in the advisors' mouths. Kyoto border. Naruto released the devils from Tsukuyomi, keeping his Rinne-Sharingan activated. Well, what did you do? Serafal asked, as she felt exhaustion coursing through her body. I made sure you and your friends were telling me the truth. Naruto answered truthfully. I don't trust devils easily, but after going through your minds I can say that I will give you all some of my time. All 4 devils smiled and stood up when Naruto held up his hand. However, you will have to put up with my clones as I have a honeymoon to get to. Naruto said with a cheeky smile. Wait, you're married? Falbium asked, shocked. Naruto held up his left hand, showing a ring. Just an hour ago. Naruto stated as he made a small opening in the barrier. Now enter before I leave you out here. The devils entered and watched Naruto close the barrier. How old are you? Ajuka asked, noticing Naruto looked very young to be tied down to marriage. I'm 17. Naruto said as he opened a portal to his home. No fucking way. Zest shouted. There is no way you are our age. Naruto punched Zest in the face. Watch your language, I have an infant daughter. Naruto stated sternly as he walked through the portal, sticking his head back through it. Now move your asses. The devils followed Naruto and they were wide-eyed as they realized they were now in the capital, more specifically the leader compound Naruto and Tamamo lived. Next day, Naruto and Tamamo waved goodbye to everyone before they headed to their honeymoon spot, a small house near the valley. Naruto proposed to Tamamo. Lukoa held baby Yasaka as the babe was wide-eyed at the feather serpent's large breasts, tapping them like they were made of mochi. Son Wukong, Jiraiya, who was walking with a cane as he got used to his new legs, Tsunade, Lukoa, and Shizen. The 4 devils were with them alongside 4 clones of Naruto. Now one of the clones stated as he turned to the devils. We can begin your torture. You mean training, right? Falbium asked nervously as the clones, the 2 advisors, Lukoa, and Wukong turned to them with sinister smiles. We know what he said. I think we may have made a mistake. The devils thought as they were separated with 1 clone each for private training. That night, Nau! Tamamo cried as she and Naruto came, their bodies sweaty and tired. I love you, Naruto said as he moved and collapsed on the bed. Tamamo snuggled into her husband with a smile and both fell asleep. Flashback/dream. Naruto, in 6 Paths Ashura Kurama mode, glared at Sasuke, who stood across from him in his perfect Susanoo. Sasuke, Naruto. The 2 giants lunged, large-scale attacks in their hands as they clashed. The 2 avatars vanished, leaving Naruto and Sasuke, flying towards each other, Chidori in Sasuke's left hand with a Rasen Shuriken powered by all the tailed beasts, making the core black, in Naruto's right hand. Right as they were 10 feet apart, Naruto thrust his hand forward, extending his chakra arm and slamming the Rasen Shuriken into Sasuke's Chidori. Wind beats lightning. Thus, the Rasen Shuriken sliced through the Chidori, cut Sasuke's left arm off before hitting him and detonating. The millions of small wind blades cutting Sasuke's chakra network to nothing. Naruto felt tired as he lost the ability to fly when he fell out of 6 Paths Sage mode, falling into the water with Sasuke's left arm. End flashback/dream. Naruto woke up, it was morning. To think I was lucky to survive that. Naruto thought as he removed himself from Tamamo's tails and walked to the bathroom. Should I tell Tama about my past? What I am? He looked at his hands, seeing the sun on his right hand and the moon on his left. How did I even survive and get brought here? Naruto thought as he did his business. I should have died from drowning. So how did I get here and how do I have Sasuke's part of Old Man 6 Paths chakra? Naruto washed his hands and exited. And why were my memories and powers stuck in that fruit? He thought. Something wrong? Naruto blinked and turned to see his naked wife looking at him with concern. No, just was thinking too hard on something. Naruto laughed as he hugged her while locking lips. Tamamo moaned and her tails wrapped around him. I want to be unable to walk after this. Tamamo purred as she pulled him back to the bed. 3 days later, Naruto entered the training grounds and smirked when he saw the 4 devils ready, but terrified. Alright Lil Zex, continue your control training. Seraphol, try to make your ice work like living creatures. I know it's hard but the moment you can make ice move like any living thing, more possibilities open. Ajuka, put the weights back on and run 250 times to build your muscles. It will strengthen your magic. Falbium, your spatial awareness is best, to push it to its max by dodging Seraphol's ice creatures. Naruto stated as he sat down. Chop chop, don't call me Lil Zex. Zest grumbled. I'm older than you by 3 months. But did you stop a war? Naruto asked. No, then shut up and deal with it. Naruto stated as he made a clone to help Tamamo back to their compound and to look for Yasaka. Zest grumbled and went to his corner and started his training while the others started. Just you wait, Naruto. Zest thought aggressively. I'll catch up to you. We all will. Next day, while Naruto's clone was watching his students, Naruto was out in the courtyard with Jiraiya, Tsunade, Shizen, Tamamo, and baby Yasaka in his hands happily giggling and tapping his face as he made funny faces and rubbed his cheek against hers, making her smile. I think we need a family portrait. Jiraiya stated as he watched the newlyweds/parents play with their daughter. You don't have one yet. Naruto went silent and looked behind him, where Miko's study was. Since her death, either Naruto or Tamamo went in there to empty it, to many memories, especially the portrait of Miko holding the 2 of them as children, both smiling happily as the piece was being painted. It happened before Miko suddenly became cold towards him. I think that is a wonderful idea, Tamamo said as she clapped her hands in front of her mouth. Tsunade smiled as Jiraiya summoned one of his toad clansmen, who was an excellent artist, complete with a canvas and paint set. After fretting over the location, Naruto sat sideways, with Tamamo on his lap sitting looking at him sideways, both holding Yasaka together. The toad artist made quick work of his setting and finished the piece in a mere 30 minutes. Naruto and Tamamo looked at the painting and soon hung it up in the great hall of the compound where each head of Kyoto had one of them, and their family. Chapter 4, done. Chapter 5, Treasured Moments. It had been 2 weeks since Naruto allowed the devils to train under him and his family. However, Naruto was currently far from Kyoto, in the middle of the ocean standing on the water with 7 clones, who were being placed in a hexagon formation around Naruto, 1,000 meters apart. "Hey boss," a clone of Naruto said as he walked to the original. "The other 6 are stationed and are awaiting orders." Naruto smiled as he looked at his clone. "Alright, dispel knowing that they can activate it," Naruto said, watching the clone pop, and then Naruto and his 4 clones getting the memories. "Alright." The 6 clones in their position said. 6 red yang formation. A hexagon of chakra appeared and rose to the sky. "Perfect, they did it right," Naruto said as he activated his 6 paths mode. "What are we doing that requires a barrier jutsu?" Chome asked, as he and the other beasts were out of the loop. However, they got a part of their answer when they were drawn out in their chakra beast forms like they were during the war. "I remembered something and I want to test it out," Naruto told them as his Rinne-Sharingan activated. Susanoo. A burst of purple chakra appeared around all the tailed beasts and wrapped around them, surprising them all. After a minute, all the beasts were covered in Susanoo armor, unique to them and their shapes. "Amazing," Matatabi said as she gazed at her armor and the armor of her siblings. "So, this is what it is like to don Susanoo. I know, it's awesome." Kurama chuckled. "Naruto, make me a sword." A massive purple katana appeared next to Kurama, who grabbed it and drew it from its sheath, just like when we fought against Obito when he was the 6-path sage. Kurama laughed when he sliced through the water, the sliced wind hitting the barrier, warping it. "Now I have something else I want to try," Naruto said as he looked at the chakra constructs while he removed the armor. The beasts watched before they felt strange. They could see what each other were seeing. "Holy shit!" Shikaka shouted as he pointed at Gyuki. "You have a Rinne-Sharingan growing out of your head." "You too!" Gyuki shouted. Naruto laughed as he deactivated it. "Good, it worked," Naruto stated, getting the attention of the beasts. "Now our teamwork will be better, like Pain's 6 paths." Saiken and Kurama agreed, having faced the paths of Pain in the other lives, Saiken with his previous Jinchuriki, and Kurama when he fought Pain with Naruto. Naruto recalled the beasts, but stayed in his 6 paths mode. "Amaterasu," Naruto thought as he looked around, black flames bursting around where his eyes looked, boiling the water. "That will be good to use against anyone who annoys us," Isabu stated. "Though I would rather just sleep at the bottom of the ocean in silence." Naruto focused and turned the flames off. "It feels weird though, using these techniques of the Uchiha," Naruto said as he looked at his hands, the sun and moon marks on his palms. "But I know that they will be useful." "Naruto," Koko said. "Can you use the outer path, Samsara of Heavenly Life Jutsu?" Naruto deactivated his power, his clones, and the barrier and opened a portal to Kyoto. "I probably could," Naruto thought as he stepped through and walked out the other end in his office. "But that technique is an act of equivalent exchange. For the dead to be brought back, I must give up my life. But there are also the pantheons with their gods of death. They could possibly try to kill me for messing with their turf." The beasts agreed. They themselves could not be killed in their world. But that doesn't mean that it still applied here. They could possibly die and not reform. Naruto blinked as he wrapped his arms around his wife, spun her around, and kissed her giggling face. "Tama," he said as he put her down, a smile of his own. "How are they coming along?" "They are doing great," Tama said as she released her husband. "Seraphal's ice mobility is much better, Falbium's spatial awareness is near sage user level, Ajuka's body has gotten stronger, thus his magic reserves have grown, and Lil Zex learned how to turn his arm into power of destruction, making it intangible." "Wow, really?" Naruto asked with giddiness. "How did he learn to do that?" "From watching you apparently," Tamamo said, putting her finger to her chin with a clueless look. "He said he remembered the beasts you summoned during the war and how they looked like pure magic, so through trial and error he managed to turn himself into his magic." Naruto grinned. "That is awesome, I know, right?" Tamamo responded with a giddiness that matched her age of 16. Shizen walked into the office with Yasaka, her kimono top open to reveal one shoulder and her breast as she was nursing the fox kit, who had one tail now, after a month and a half after being born, which wagged happily as she drank. "Oh, Naruto, you're back," Shizen said, her cheeks tinting red in embarrassment. She may be his friend/family and professional doctor, but having herself as exposed as she was even for her to nurse Yasaka, was embarrassing to the rabbit yokai. "Did you figure out what you wanted to? You vanished off our radar for a short while before you came back." "Yeah, I had a barrier up," Naruto said as he sat down with Tamamo, going over and taking her daughter from Shizen, helping Shizen stay covered with her tails while Shizen put her kimono back in place. "It kept people from feeling me out. I should have let you guys know." "What for?" Shizen asked curiously as she sat across from Naruto. Naruto was silent for a while. "Shizen, can you get Jiraiya and Tsunade please?" Naruto said as he lifted his head. "I don't want to do this twice." Shizen heard his seriousness and obliged him. Naruto looked at Tamamo and Yasaka, who was being burped. "Neru, what is going on?" Tamamo asked worriedly as she finished burping her child. "I will explain when they arrive," Naruto said as he leaned in and pressed his cheek against Tamamo's cheek. They purred and Tamamo's tails wrapped around the two of them with Yasaka being safe. 10 minutes passed before Shizen arrives with Jiraiya and Tsunade. They sat before Naruto and Tamamo. "What is this about Naruto?" Tsunade asked, arms crossed. We shouldn't leave those devils alone for long. Don't worry, what I'm about to show you will only take a few seconds. Naruto said as all eyes, minus Yasaka's, were on him. Tsukuyami. Naruto thought as he activated his Rinne-Sharingan, the pattern appearing in everyone's eyes. They saw the life of a child named Naruto Uzumaki, Jinchuriki of Konoha. His hardships, his passions, his loved ones, the deaths, the war, and then the final conflict between him and Sasuke. When it was finished, Naruto deactivated the technique, closing his eye, and watched as the four yokai panted from the rush of information they had received. Was that true? Tamamo asked her husband, tears threatening to fall. Are you really from a different dimension that uses chakra, and are a reincarnation of a god's son? Naruto simply nodded, waiting for them to explode on him. Silence. Jiraiya stood up and hugged Naruto. I knew you would be a great man, Jiraiya stated proudly. But I didn't know how much of one you would become. Tsunade and Shizen walked up to him and hugged Naruto too. We were destined to meet you again. Tsunade spouted through her tears. Even if I am not the same woman, I am still your grandma. Shizen said nothing as she held him. I thought they would be angry. Why do I feel like a jackass? Naruto thought as he hugged them back. Tamamo looked at her husband when the three yokai let him go. You have been through so much, she stated as she leaned close, Yasaka looking at her daddy, smiling and reaching out for him. You lived that life, then came here, and took the abuse of my mother, fought in another war, and are now a dad and husband. Tamamo looked at him, and was crying. Please tell me you won't leave. Tamamo gasped. Don't go back there. Please stay with me. Naruto hugged Tamamo, being careful of Yasaka, and kissed her cheek. I am not leaving. Naruto stated sincerely. I haven't once thought about leaving you and Yasaka. You are my family. You are my loved ones. Tamamo cried into his shoulder, holding his arm tightly. Thank you? She repeated over and over again. Naruto hugged his wife and child close, ignoring the company of Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizen. Skip 2 weeks, outside Kyoto barrier, Naruto stood before Surzex, Serafal, Falbium, and Ajuka. I am proud to say you all have improved greatly. Naruto told them, getting smiles. However, that doesn't mean you are all done training. You may defeat your enemies, but there will always be one waiting after them, stronger than the last. So, keep up your training in your free time. I fucking hate you. Falbium stated bluntly. I am grateful for how much stronger I have become, but that doesn't mean I'll go easy on you if we ever become enemies. Ajuka sighed. Sorry, master, he is very appreciative of all that you have taught us. Ajuka said as he apologized for Falbium's words, as the devil crossed his arms in a huff. Serafal rushed over and hugged Naruto. Will we ever get to see you again, brother? She asked weepy-eyed. Of course, Naruto said. But I cannot interact with your affairs, so when we have official business together, we will see each other then. Serafal nodded into his chest before she kissed his cheek and separated from him for Surzex. The heir of the Gremry clan walked up and simply extended his hand. Naruto looked at it, and back to Surzex's eyes before taking it in his and shaking it. Thank you for everything, Surzex said. We won't forget any of this. You're welcome, however, Naruto stated. Don't tell anyone I trained you guys. Just say you guys figure these things out for yourself. We can't do that, Serafal said, shocked. I would feel horrible taking the credit you deserve. Naruto shook his head. I don't care for glory as much as people like to think you guys. Naruto told them. If people think you made yourselves stronger with your own methods, then it will make you sound stronger. I don't want to be remembered in history. Serafal was about to protest, but her mouth was covered by Falbium and Ajuka. Alright, we won't, Ajuka said sadly. I really wanted to tell my family about this though. Fine, but allow us to owe you a favor down the line? Surzex stated sternly, looking Naruto in the eye with confidence. Alright, you guys can owe me a favor, Naruto said in a defeated tone. Falbium was silent as they activated their teleporting seal. See you all later, Naruto stated as he waved at them, getting waves from all of them but Falbium, who flipped Naruto off. Naruto laughed as he watched them leave. He lowered his hand and put it in his pockets. It will be a little lonely now that they are gone, Naruto thought as he walked back to the capital, enjoying nature. What if they come back and attack Kyoto? Naruto, Gyuki asked curiously. Isn't it obvious? We will kill them. Shikaka laughed darkly. No, we won't, Naruto thought as he jumped into the trees. We aren't animals, despite having animal traits, so if they attack, we will capture them alive and figure out why they attacked us, then decide what to do from there. Shikaka huffed angrily. You're too nice, you know that, he said before going back to sleep. I know. Naruto smiled as he made it to a cliff near the capital. He took in the sight of his home and put his hands before his eyes, making a rectangle with his index fingers and thumbs. It's small enough to fit in my hand, Naruto thought as he looked at Kyoto. But soon, I hope we can expand further. Naruto jumped and felt the air push against his body as he picked up speed. He grabbed a strong tree branch and swung around a few times before letting go, landing in a nearby tree and continuing his tree hopping. Naruto made it home within the hour, seeing his wife and daughter in the living room. Yasaka garbled as she reached for him, a toothless smile present on her chubby face. How have you been, Yasaka? Naruto asked with a smile as he picked up his daughter and kissed her cheek before holding her high above his head, making her laugh. She has been doing good, Tamamo said as she stood up and kissed Naruto. She had plenty to eat today, so she should be satisfied for a while so you can continue your little side projects. Naruto smiled as he held Yasaka to his chest and kissed Tamamo's lips. Thank you, Tamamo, he said as he walked to his office with Yasaka, his turn to watch her to give Yasaka some time to relax. Naruto entered his large office, which had a small crib, a playpen, and some toys for Yasaka in it, and created a clone and put Yasaka in the playpen. Don't worry, boss, I'll keep an eye on her, the clone said as he sat down next to the playpen while Yasaka's tiny tail swayed as she pounced on her teddy bear. Naruto and his clone smiled before he got to work and opened the doors that lead to his office balcony. He sat down on the deck with some sealing tools he got from Jiraiya and activated his Rinne-Sharingan, creation of all things. He put his hands out and in between them, metal formed out of his chakra. With the knowledge he obtained from the tailed beasts, especially Isabu, Saiken, Gyuki, and Kurama, Naruto remade the treasure tools of the Sage of Six Paths and the 7 ninja swords of the Hidden Mist. Alright, that is all of them, Naruto thought as he checked them over, Samahata enjoying his chakra. He looked at the executioner's blade, nostalgia filling his mind and heart with memories of Haku and Zabuza. I'll make this blade stronger than it ever was in my world, Naruto thought as he grabbed a carving tool and small hammer. This blade was exactly the same as the original, meaning it could not be chipped or broken, as it could fix itself using the iron from the enemy's blood. Naruto infused the chisel with his chakra and carved into the blunt end of the blade runes and seals that could never be removed, so if the blade reformed, the runes and seals would return as well. Alright, let's test this out, Naruto thought as he put his tools away, grabbing the sword. Naruto swung it a few times, getting an idea for the balance, as Isabu and Saiken had a few users were members of the swordsmen. That feels about right, Isabu chimed in. Saiken agreed with his brother. Okay, now to try out the seals, Naruto thought as he activated it with his will as he stood still, entering Sage mode. The seals glowed faintly and Naruto smiled as he felt the effects. Nature energy started to be pulled into the blade, and as a master of Senjutsu, Naruto could see it flowing within the metal. Perfect, Naruto thought as he swung it and could feel how much stronger the blade was. I am not going to do this with all of them, just this one, as Zabuza was very proud of it. He deactivated the seals, stopping the pull of nature energy, and swung it, sending the energy out of it, just like Naruto wanted. Pride swelled in Naruto as he walked back to the other creations and decided to put them away. Hey Naruto, make a sand gourd with a sand seal so you can use my powers, Shikaka snipped. Oh yeah, that would be a good idea, Naruto thought as he did just that. I need to train in the Rinnegan's powers and all of your abilities, you guys. It looked just like Gaara's gourd, but it was about a foot long, 5 inches wide at the bottom, and could be carried at his hip on his belt. Inside was a special seal that could hold all the necessary sand Naruto and Shikaku would need. Naruto sealed the swords and treasure tools away in 2 separate scrolls, only going to allow them to be used during times of need. He returned to the inside of his office and picked Yasaka up, his nose assaulted by a foul odor. Okay, yeah, this is something I don't want to get used to, Naruto thought as he handed Yasaka over to the clone to change her. He still experienced, though it was second-hand thanks to the Shadow Clone Jutsu's special ability. Thankfully, he didn't need to get used to it as he had help from Shizen and Tsunade, who looked after Yasaka the most while Naruto and Tamamo lead Kyoto into a time of peace. Naruto had heard a few months after the devils left Kyoto that the Devil's Civil War ended with the victors being the anti-Satan side, which had his students. Naruto was proud of them, even more so when he got an invitation to the coronation of them as the new Satans. Sadly, he did not attend, as it was a time of rebuilding in the underworld and having anyone that they could possibly deem an enemy would not be a good idea. But he did send them gifts. Years passed and Sun Wukong and Luko would show up from time to time, to drink and celebrate birthdays or to just hang out. However, with the good, bad always stalks its shadows. Naruto and Tamamo noticed that dozens of yokai had been leaving Kyoto, and it concerned them dearly. As king/partial leader, Naruto had explained the will of fire to Tamamo, and she did her best to embody that philosophy passed down through Konoha. Though she might not be a native to Naruto's world, the will of fire burned brightly within her, as she saw all who lived in Kyoto family. It happened when Yasaka was 7, meaning Naruto was 24 and Tamamo was 23. Civil war broke out between yokai in Kyoto. This was short-lived as when the war hit over 1,000 casualties on Naruto's and Tamamo's side. Naruto stepped in and was not very shocked when he felt the negative emotions all focused on him with Kurama's negative emotion sensing. So, this is what it is about, Naruto thought as he stood alone before an army of angered yokai. It's racism. Prejudice because I'm human. In the front, leading this anger-fueled army was old Baba, her hunched-over form clear as day to Naruto. Baba, why? Why are you doing this? Naruto asked, not wanting to fight them, because she said angrily. Your people took my family from me. What happened wasn't directly tied to me, Naruto shouted confused. Baba ignored him and signaled her followers to attack. Naruto shed one tear. Fine, he muttered in defeat. Have it your way. He entered Sage mode, activated his Byakugan, and found out that there were over 3,000 yokai against him, how strong they were, and got an idea for the terrain. Shikaku. Naruto thought as the small cork on the gourd, and sand funneled out endlessly as Naruto and Shikaku prepared their attack. Sand tsunami. Naruto and Shikaku said together as the yokai saw a large tidal wave of sand raise above them and crash into the front lines and rolled over to the rest. Naruto watched as many yokai died while about 15% of them survived. One of them was Baba. She was injured, barely alive when he felt her signature. Walking up to her, Naruto watched her face and emotions. Anger and fear blended perfectly on her face. Damn you, she gasped. Filthy human, corrupting our leader's blood purity with your disgusting blood. Naruto said and thought nothing before he made the sand cover Baba, fear and anger fueling her even more as she tried to struggle. But soon she was silenced. Her blood was disgusting. Shikaku stated, as it was his sand, he could taste what was in it. Naruto was silent as he recalled the sand. Gather all the bodies of the deceased and take the survivors back to Kyoto to be healed. Naruto ordered his men as he walked away, needing to go back to his wife. They were shocked as Naruto made that order. He wants the traitors / us healed? They thought. Naruto returned home on foot. Daddy? Yasaka called out, her two tails swaying as she ran at her father and hugged his waist. Naruto did not react. Naruto Tamamo asked as she realized the 1,000-yard stare in his eyes. Yasaka, do you want to spend time with Grandma Tsunade and Aunt Shizen? Yasaka's eyes widened and she nodded. Tamamo summoned a servant and they took Yasaka to Tsunade's home, leaving Tamamo alone with Naruto. Naruto pulled Tamamo into him and kissed her deeply. Tamamo did not need help with Kurama's power to know Naruto was sad and troubled. Pulling back a bit, Tamamo loosened and then dropped her kimono and took Naruto's hand, leading him to their room. Tamamo's screams and moans echoed through the compound as they had one-sided emotional sex. After a few hours, Tamamo gasped for air as she collapsed on top of Naruto, their sweat mixing. Feeling better? She huffed as she caressed his face. Yes, much better. Naruto responded as he touched her hand. Tamamo hummed as her tail swayed slowly as she cuddled with him. I love you, she said as she fell asleep. I love you too, Tamamo, Naruto said as he relaxed and fell asleep next to his wife. Skip 8 years. Yasaka, now age 15, woke up, tired. It's morning already, she thought weakly as she wiped her eyes of sleep and then stretched. She looked just like her mom. Differences though, where she grew her hair out and was more developed. Where Tamamo was a solid BB cup, Yasaka was a D cup. Yasaka had stayed up late, against her father's wishes, training. Her 4 tails, all bushy and soft like her mother's fur, swayed silently as Yasaka jumped off the bed, landing on her feet gracefully, and grabbed her bathing supplies before her way to the bath. You alright, Tama? Yasaka heard when she prepared for her soak. I'm fine, Naru. Yasaka smiled as she opened the door and saw her parents look up at her. Tamamo's stomach had been rounded out again, being pregnant again for the last 5 months. Yo, you having a good morning? Naruto asked his daughter as he scrubbed his wife's back. Yep, I am having a very good morning so far, Papa. Yasaka answered as she made her way over and sat next to Tamamo, pressing her face against Tamamo's wet and rounded belly. My baby brother doing fine in there, Mama? Tamamo giggled. Your dad did the same thing when he came back the day you were born. Tamamo stated as she tried not to laugh. Haha, very funny. Naruto stated as he started scrubbing his daughter's back after pouring water on her. Yasaka and Tamamo laughed. The family of 3, soon to be 4, enjoyed their bath together, like they always did. Soon, Naruto helped Tamamo out, and the two left the bath for their room and Yasaka went to hers to get dressed. She put on another kimono, like usual, purple with silver lining today, with gold swirls. At her hip was a sand gourd. Papa worries over nothing, she thought as she tapped the gourd. She put her long hair up, revealing on her soft neck to the world, and soon Yasaka left her room for breakfast. Seriously, you can't leave the house without the gourd is a bit much, Yasaka thought. She remembered why Naruto was so persistent for her taking the gourd everywhere. When she was 11 years old, Naruto took Yasaka outside the Kyoto borders and into the human world. While Naruto wasn't looking, Yasaka wandered off and got lost. Naruto was in a crowd of people and was too panicked to think clearly, and use his genjutsu to cover his eyes to use his Byakugan. When he found Yasaka, she was being held up by some adult men and had cuts all over her body. Naruto had destroyed them. Leaving them alive for the police, Naruto took Yasaka back home via portal and Tsunade healed her, thus no scars were present on her body. The next day, however, Naruto gave her the gourd and a small amount of chakra, which she did and still doesn't understand why. But after that, when she wore the gourd at her side, any and all attacks were blocked by a barrier of sand automatically without her willing it to. It's a cool power, though I wish I could use it for offense, Yasaka thought as she entered the dining room and sat across her dad, but next to her mother who sat at the head of the table. Yasaka smiled as she saw her breakfast and the family ate together once more, like they always did before Yasaka went to school. Upon her return, Yasaka and Naruto were told some bad news from Tsunade, who was over checking on the baby and Tamamo. Tamamo has a high chance of dying, Tsunade said as she looked out the window. She is poisoned and I can't cure it with her being pregnant. What caused her to get poisoned? Naruto asked, his eyes filled with worry. According to my last checkup, Tsunade said as she held out Tamamo's medical folder to Naruto. It's chakra poisoning. Chakra poisoning? Yasaka asked, confused and worried. Yes. Tsunade answered as she sat down, her heart weighing heavy. The chakra from the baby is abnormally large and is affecting Tamamo. Anything that can cause a lot of stress will force the chakra through the heart, and too much will cause the heart to burst. So if the baby is born, Tamamo is more or less going to die. Naruto stiffened. What have I done? He thought as he read the file. Nothing. That is what you have done. Matatabi told him, worried. This abundance of chakra in the fetus may have been an accidental cause on our part. Naruto grit his teeth. Damn it. He thought. Is it possible to siphon off the harmful chakra from the baby without killing him and Mama? Yasaka asked in desperation. She did not want to lose either her mother or baby brother. Tsunade shook her head. Medical magic has not been researched enough in that field. Tsunade replied. It is very dangerous to do, as a volunteer would have to be a pregnant mother. It is inhumane. But we are yokai. Yasaka yelled, tears starting to fill her eyes. Being inhumane is an acceptable thing we can do, right, Papa? Naruto stood up, his face eerily silent and stern-faced. Papa? Yasaka asked meekly as she watched him walk away to go to Tamamo. He opened his bedroom door and saw his wife, sleeping peacefully. Naruto, Kurama asked. What is going through your head? You have blocked us out. Naruto said nothing as he knelt near his wife, caressing her short blonde hair that was on her cheek. Naruto? Activating his Rinne-Sharingan, Naruto touched Tamamo's stomach. Pret a path, Gekido. Naruto thought as a small spherical barrier enveloped him and Tamamo, his hand starting to absorb the abundant chakra from his unborn child into his hand. Naruto, stop. Chapter 5, done. Chapter 6, long life, swift end. Naruto, stop. Naruto pulled his hand back, ending his ability, closing his eye, and looked at Tamamo, still sleeping soundly. Hearing his heartbeat in his ears, Naruto activated his Byakugan and looked at the baby. The once abnormally large chakra reserves in the infant was now thinned out to what it should have been. There was no strain on Tamamo's, or the baby's chakra coils. Naruto sighed and collapsed into a nearby chair as he deactivated his Byakugan. Oh shit, that was stressful. Naruto thought as he looked at his slumbering pregnant wife. At least the problem is gone now. Within him, all the tailed beasts were somberly solemn. Kurama, should we tell him what we found out? Isabu asked timidly. Kurama grit his teeth. I don't know. He replied. It's going to hurt either way, but knowing now would make him desperately drastic. So, we should keep it to ourselves? Matatabi asked, not wanting to see anything that was now set in motion happen. He deserves to know. Kurama's hands clenched as he glared at his siblings. I know. But Naruto has more than himself to look after. Kurama stated as his hands shook, showing he wasn't happy either. Him freaking out won't help. It will make the situation worse, especially Tamamo. The tailed beast fell silent and cried. It was painful for them knowing that everything was going to change once again. 3 months, 2 weeks, 4 days later, Tamamo was once again in child labor-filled agony, but unlike before, Naruto wasn't there. She remembered the night before, Naruto had been called away to settle a dispute that she would normally handle, but since she was on leave, Naruto took it up. Ayak. Tamamo screamed as she felt another wave of pain blitz its way through her body. Naruto, Tsunade and Shizen were working as best they could to help Tamamo's current situation as she was still preparing for birthing her son. It's going to be fine, Tamamo, Tsunade stated as she scanned Tamamo's body. You have another 3 centimeters to go before you can push. Tamamo barely nodded. Her body was hot, covered in sweat, and hurt everywhere, most painful in her stomach. Her heavy-lidded eyes had heavy bags under them from being in labor for 3 hours. Where are you, Naruto? Shizen thought worriedly as she applied numbing chakra into Tamamo's body. Kyoto border. Naruto waved goodbye to the guards. There had been a small tear in the barrier protecting Kyoto, and Naruto fixed it. I am exhausted. He thought as he activated a portal. I am going to take a nap when I get home. He passed through it, and heard his name get shouted in a blood-curdling scream. Naruto felt Tamamo's chakra, his eyes widening when he felt it getting weaker at a quick rate. Running through the compound, Naruto entered as Tamamo started to push. Tamamo tiredly and painfully looked over and saw him there. She weakly held her hand out, trying to reach him, eyes filled with want to hold his hand. Naruto, get out of here! Tsunade shouted, actually relieved he was there. But at this stage in these conditions, distracting Tamamo was not a good option. Naruto was about to argue, but was pulled out by Jiraiya, his newest set of legs strong enough to overpower Naruto's attempts to stand his ground. In the room nearby, Naruto was set down. He saw Yasaka, her eyes filled with worry and tears, her hands over her ears, having sensitive hearing, and she lunged at him, hugging him tightly as she shook. Papa, she hiccuped. Where were you? I was working, but I'm here now. Naruto replied as he put his arms around Yasaka and pet her head, doing what he could to soothe her. Jiraiya watched Naruto and his goddaughter interact in silence. The 3 of them listened for over 2 more hours of Tamamo's cries of pain echo through the compound as they waited anxiously. All that time, Naruto was in sage mode, focusing on the chakra signatures in that one room, everything else around him irrelevant. His eyes widened before he ran out of the room suddenly. Why, Yasaka said before her eyes widened too, and she took off with Jiraiya. Jiraiya entered the room, not being able to move fast anymore, and saw what they were in a hurry for. Naruto and Yasaka were holding Tamamo's hands, trying to channel chakra into Tamamo. Her body was now emaciated, her bones showing through her skin as she clung to life. Her face had a weak smile that was taking a lot of effort to keep. Jiraiya looked over at Tsunade and Shizen, where the baby should have been, but all Jiraiya saw was a silent infant covered in a blanket, soaking wet with 4 large bushy tails. Is it wasn't Jiraiya dumbly tried to ask? Dead. Tsunade answered as she looked up at him, her face racked with all emotions tied to sadness. He wasn't breathing, and being born with tails it should not have been possible. Mama! Yasaka shouted desperately, getting the other 3 yokai's attention. Please don't die. Naruto had desperation and despair on his face as he looked over Tamamo's chakra coils with his Byakugan. I don't understand, her chakra coils are completely ruined. How did this happen? He thought as he continued to try to replenish Tamamo's chakra coils with his and Yasaka's. Her body was now filling out, no longer emaciated. I'm so, Tamamo gasped out weakly. Yasaka and Naruto felt intense weight building in their chests as they heard this. Sorry, Tamamo whispered before her chakra coils, what was left of them, were empty. Yasaka and Naruto's faces scrunched up in pain, tears swelled and fell. Ayak. Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Shizen felt the chakra of the father and daughter erupt, sporadically and violently lash everywhere, knocking everything over and shaking Kyoto, making an earthquake. The mother and son had left the father and daughter alone. 2 days later, Tamamo and her son, whom was going to be named Minato, were lowered into the earth next to her mother. She was positioned in a peaceful slumbering position, her arms holding her baby, who had sun-kissed blonde hair and tails. All the citizens of Kyoto were there, with friends and family the closest. All wore black clothing as they attended the funeral, all placing a flower at the small shrine with a picture of Tamamo. Lukoa and Ryukon were there, dressed in black, and were crying with everyone else as they saw their friend and her son get placed in the grave. Once placed, Naruto stepped up and used his chakra to bury his wife and son completely. He wasn't crying, his face held in solemn. After covering their former leader, the citizens dispersed to mourn the loss in their homes. All businesses closed for the next few days to collect themselves. Lukoa, Ryukon, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizen stayed behind in the graveyard with Naruto and Yasaka, who was crying heavily on her knees before the grave Shikaku and Naruto made the day before and put over Tamamo. An hour had passed and Yasaka had barely made any progress in her mourning. Yasaka, Naruto stated calmly as he knelt next to his daughter. Let's go home. He touched her shoulder with his hand, and felt pain shoot through his arm when she clawed him and moved away. Her eyes filled with anger and sadness as she angrily looked at Naruto. This is your fault. She shouted angrily as she lunged at Naruto and punched him, hard, and continued to do so while Naruto did nothing to stop her. If only you hadn't gotten her pregnant, she would still be alive. No response. Yasaka's anger skyrocketed and she channeled chakra into her hand, rotated it, and formed a spiraling sphere. Rasengan! She shouted as she thrust the jutsu at her dad. Sand burst from Yasaka's gourd and surrounded Naruto in a dome, taking the attack head-on and wearing the jutsu down to the point it ended. Coward! Yasaka shouted as she prepared 6 Rasengan, 1 for each hand and tail. Yasaka! Lukoa shouted as she grabbed the kitsune and forced her to the ground as the sand returned to the gourd, showing an unscathed Naruto. Calm down right now. Your father is hurting just as much as you are, as he should be. Yasaka shouted as she struggled against Lukoa's grip. It's all his fault. Mama and Minato would have lived if he hadn't messed with them. Yasaka thrashed more, and the more she did the more tired she became, soon just staying still as she cried. Naruto watched his daughter break down, taking all that she said and thought about it, not showing any emotion on his face, body language or eyes. Naruto, you okay? Ryukon asked worriedly as he walked up to his friend. Naruto created a portal with his Rinne-Sharingan. I'll be back before dinner, he said emotionlessly. You and Lukoa can stay the night. He entered the portal. Run away like you always do, Yasaka shouted as the portal closed behind her dad. Lukoa got off of Yasaka, who shot up and ran home. Ryukon and Lukoa turned, feeling Naruto's chakra at the Valley of the Lovers. We will go talk to him, Lukoa said as rainbow-colored wings appeared from her back and Ryukon gathered clouds under his feet. No, leave him be, Tsunade ordered. He needs to let out some steam. But what if he does something stupid? Ryukon asked. He could go and kill himself. He wouldn't do that, Jiraiya stated. He would never want to hurt Yasaka like that. Lukoa wanted to argue, but recalled her wings. He is an adult too, she thought. Lukoa was 1,000+ years old, so to her, Naruto at age 34 was still an infant. But in this situation, he probably did not want to be babied. When he is ready to talk, he will come to us, Tsunade reassured them. Ryukon and Lukoa nodded. Let's go find Yasaka, Shizen told Tsunade and Jiraiya. The earth shook and confused everyone, wondering what was happening before the shakes ended. Naruto. He was taking deep breaths as he looked up at the waterfalls while in Kurama mode. Large chunks of rock around him. He had destroyed the statues he made 15 years prior, regretting it now. Around him was the 6 red yang formation barrier surrounding him, and the valley so he would not destroy more than he wanted. Damn it! Naruto shouted as he exited 6 paths mode, and in Kurama mode. Why did this have to happen? The tailed beast stayed silent, getting Naruto's attention, which they could feel as he entered the mindscape. Alright, out with it! Naruto shouted. What do you guys know that I don't? Kurama held his arm out, silencing the other 8. Naruto, do not be mad at them. Kurama stated. But I was the one who decided to withhold the information you want. Naruto's anger spiked, but he stayed silent. Your son's excess amount of chakra was due to us. He had a sliver of our chakra and was rapidly growing. Kurama explained. We noticed it when Tamamo hit 3 months, but when you decided to siphon chakra from the baby, we said to stop. The chakra you took from him was connected to Tamamo's, thus you took her chakra too. And by taking his chakra, your son's chakra got stronger, thus he was born with 4 tails, which in turn killed Tamamo. Naruto's hair covered his eyes as he shook with rage. He angrily glared at Kurama. Rinne-Sharingan activated, startling Kurama before he was pinned down by the red gates. You fucking knew this was going to happen? Naruto stated angrily as he walked to his friend. You knew, yet you didn't bother to tell me. Naruto swung his hand towards the other tailed beasts. Shinra Tensei. The 8 tailed beasts were pushed back by the immense gravitational force forced them away from Naruto and Kurama. He took deep breaths as he turned to face Kurama, who was relaxed, eyes showing empathy and sympathy. Naruto got on top of Kurama's muzzle and in front of his one eye. You had no right to keep this from me. Naruto stated, grabbing Kurama's eyelid tightly and pulling it. If you told me, I would have saved them both from dying. That may be true, but at what cost? Kurama stated, wincing slightly. You would have been seen as a madman, hurting Tamamo worse than what was going to be done. She knew what was going to happen deep down, so why don't you just get a grip and accept you can't save everyone? Naruto snarled and pulled his other hand back, a Raisin Shuriken in his hand. He deactivated the jutsu and carefully placed Kurama's eyelid back and removed the gates off of the fox as the other beasts returned. I'm sorry, Naruto said in shame. Please forgive me, my friends. He bowed, touching his head to the watery floor. The tailed beasts, while chakra beings, were not animals. They were intelligent beings like any other. We forgive you, Naruto. They stated sincerely. Naruto sadly smiled and looked at them. Thank you. Nighttime compound. Naruto entered his office with his Rinne-Sharingan portal. He went to his closet, pulling out the scrolls where the treasure tools and the 7 swords were kept. I should leave these with them, in case they need them. He thought as he put them back. He hesitated a second, before he pulled the swords back out, and unsealed the executioner's blade. I'll take this one though. Naruto placed the scroll back in the closet before he sat down at his desk, pulled out an ink brush and parchment, and started writing something down. Are you sure about this? Son Goku asked. This is a very impactful decision, Naruto. I know, but I am something that brings misfortune to his loved ones. Naruto thought. He continued writing. So, I will do what is necessary. Several minutes later Naruto finished his writing and summoned a clone, handing it to the clone, who nodded and took his place at his desk when Naruto stood up. He sealed the executioner's blade in a sealing scroll, taking a few things from his office, like his sealing kit, some documents, and personal possessions. Naruto left his office, leaving the clone with the letter, silently weaving through the compound, going to his room, taking some more things for what he was planning before he exited the room and walked to Yasaka's room. He entered quietly, seeing her sleeping form on her futon, shivering from having kicked the blanket off in her sleep. Naruto picked the blanket up and gently placed it back on his daughter, who stopped shivering after a few seconds. He placed his hand in her hair, making her purr as he petted her. I love you, Yasaka. Naruto whispered, making her ears twitched as he spoke. I am sorry. He removed his hand from her head, making her pout in her sleep, before leaving her room and walking to the front door. As Naruto walked through the hallway, he stopped and looked at a few portraits, the first being a recent one, Naruto, pregnant Tamamo, and Yasaka, the second being of Naruto and Yasaka with an infant Yasaka, and the third being of Naruto and Tamamo as children being held in Miko's lap, all 3 smiling happily. A pit of emotions burrowed into Naruto's stomach and heart as he looked at these 3. I guess I'll take these too, Naruto said to no one as he sealed the 3 large portraits away. He walked out of the compound and turned one last time to look at his home. His heart weighed heavy, his pulse drumming in his ear. He felt dizzy thinking about what he was about to do. Goodbye. Next morning, Yasaka woke up. Papa, she thought as she remembered yesterday. A great weight pushed itself into chest as the guilt set in. I should apologize to him at breakfast. She showered and dressed, not seeing her dad anywhere. Where is he? Yasaka thought as she walked through the compound. Maybe he is in his office. Yasaka made her way to Naruto's office, running into Lukoa. Yasaka? Said Kitsune, turned and saw Lukoa, holding a tray of food. Auntie, what are you doing? Yasaka asked, noticing the food. And what is with the food? It's for Naruto. Lukoa answered. He hasn't left his office, so I thought I would make him something to eat. Yasaka raised an eyebrow at the very faint rose tint in Lukoa's cheeks. Well, I'm going to go talk to him, Yasaka said rudely as she walked ahead of Lukoa. Upon arriving, Yasaka knocked on the door. Papa, are you in there? She asked nervously. Come in. Yasaka and Lukoa entered and saw Naruto sitting at the desk, a letter in his hands with Yasaka's name on it. Papa, I want to, Yasaka started to say before she was looking at the letter being held in front of her face. She took it, confused, and looked at it, and then back to her father. Lukoa. Yes? Naruto looked at his friend/teammate. Please help Yasaka, he asked with a deep bow. As from this day forth, Yasaka is the leader of Kyoto. Yasaka's and Lukoa's eyes widened in shock. Papa, that is what? Naruto looked up and was about to answer, but sadly smiled before he placed his hand on her head, rubbing between her ears. Always remember, I love you, Yasaka, he said before he popped out of existence. Lukoa dropped her tray as she realized what had just happened. Naruto had abandoned his post as leader, passing it to his daughter, and asked her, Lukoa, to help Yasaka lead Kyoto. Yasaka collapsed to her knees. Papa, she asked timidly as her ears flattened on her head, shaking as she held the letter to her chest. Please tell me this is just a joke, sweet Lukoa said as she knelt next to her niece and pulled her into a hug. Yasaka made no move to get out of the hug as she started to cry, her guilt increasing. It's all my fault, she hiccuped. If I hadn't been so mean, Papa would still be here. It's going to be alright, sweetie, I promise you it will, Lukoa said as she rocked the crying teen. This was the scene Jiraiya, Tsunade, Shizun, and Ryukan walked in on. Skip for years, England, please train me? A young woman covered in bruises and slash marks asked Naruto, bowing. She was very beautiful, long light brown hair, and on her left hand was the boosted gear made from the Red Dragon Drake, which Naruto remembered from the faction war and being the reason why the yokai faction got involved. I just kicked your ass and now you are begging me to teach you? Naruto asked her as he sat down, the executioner's blade at his side. Yes, you are strong and I want to be the best emperor of the boosted gear, she said as she looked up, determination and resolve in her eyes. What's your name? Naruto asked. Elsha. This might bite me in the ass, Naruto thought, getting agreements from the tailed beasts. Skip, 79 years, 1864, America. With her training under Naruto, Elsha had accomplished her dream of becoming the strongest female Red Dragon Emperor. Sadly, she died at a young age of 33 when defending against a legion of monsters after her training was complete. Naruto had heard of this and returned to England and paid his respects to her, praying she would rest peacefully. Currently, he was sitting at a small campfire cooking fish, ignoring the massive civil war the Americans were having. Why, Naruto thought as he ate his fish. It has been 83 years since I left Kyoto, and I haven't died. He had not aged a day over 34 years old in the past 80+ years. During that time, he had helped many people, monsters/yokai to humans in need. He did perform miracles, as he wasn't Jesus, but used his powers in small ways to ease the living of others. Plowing fields for a place to sleep, herding animals, defending castles, anything under the sun Naruto did as a job. He had arrived recently in America a week prior, having finished helping some sailors deal with the Kraken, which Naruto tamed and asked to move to a more secluded area so it wouldn't be bothered or bother others. Currently, Naruto was wandering around, helping slaves escape to Canada. It was easy, using his genjutsu on them to make them look white. He was able to pass as an escort to Canada, and since humans in this day and age did not believe in magic that much, he could get away with it easily. Nearby was a few dead Confederate and Union soldiers with their loaded guns. Why the fuck haven't I died yet? Naruto thought as his hope after leaving Kyoto was to wander around, helping as many people he could, grow old, and die. There is a reason for that, Naruto, Chomei answered from within him. Naruto raised an eyebrow while he chewed his fish. When you ate the fruit that returned your memories, granted you your powers, and returned us to you, your body became like ours, Koko stated. Meaning you are a chakra being like us, Goku stated. Naruto's eyes widened as he realized what that meant. I can't die of age, he stated dejectedly. No, you cannot, Yuki responded. Naruto was silent as he stood up. Naruto, it won't work, Shikaka stated. We won't know until we try, Naruto stated. He walked over to the dead bodies and took one of the Confederate muskets, loaded. Picking up the 20-pound gun, Naruto placed the barrel against his temple. See you all on the other side, he said to the beasts. It isn't going to work, they all said in unison. Only one way to find out, Naruto replied as he pulled the trigger. Bang! His body collapsed, his brain having a metal ball lodge itself into it. Chapter 6, done. Chapter 7, Gap Between Realms. Naruto could feel himself becoming conscious. So, I didn't die after all, he thought groggily as his senses were getting awakened. They were right. But it was worth a try. I wonder how long I was out? So, you are waking up. Naruto cracked his eyes open bit by bit, his vision being blurred and sensitive from the intense light. He could now feel himself being propped up on someone's legs, with their arms around his torso. Some more time passed before he could open his eyes and look around him. It was a void, full of colors and empty. No start, no end, total silence, worse than darkness. When Naruto thought as he tried to sit up, only to be pulled down by whoever was holding him. Don't move. You have been reforming for 10 years, so take it slow. The person said emotionlessly. I don't want you hurt more than you already were. Who are you? Naruto asked in a raspy voice. Where are we? We are in my home, the dimensional gap. Naruto tensed and pushed himself away from his holder, activating his 6 paths chakra mode. Rinne-Sharingan activated. Ophis smiled at this. Adorable. She stated as she stood up, dusting her skirt off. You are just like him. You even had the same reaction your father did when we first met, Ashura. Ashura? Naruto whispered. The only Ashura I know was the son of Hagoromo Otsutsuki. Ophis responded. How do you know of Old Man Sage? Naruto demanded, but was stopped when Ophis appeared before him and wrapped him in a hug. How long have I wanted to hold you again, my son? My dear Ashura. Ophis stated, her emotionless tone holding small amounts of happiness in it. Naruto and the tailed beasts were shocked to hear this. What? They all shouted within Naruto. Breaking her hold again, Naruto jumped back, his Truth Seeker orbs following him with 2 of them forming short staffs, and he held them defensively. Why do you run from me? Ophis asked sadly. You aren't my mother. Naruto stated, watching Ophis carefully. My parents are Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto felt Kurama's want to talk to Ophis, and gave him control. And who are you to Old Man 6 Paths Ophis? Kurama asked rudely, yet it seemed he knew her from the tone he used. Ashura's and Indra's mother died giving birth to them, so there is no way you were their mother. Ophis smiled, her eyes closed, as if she was remembering something. Hagoromo came here a long time ago. Ophis stated fondly. We fought, and eventually fell in love. I donated some eggs and he matured them with his creation of all things ability. I held my children once before Hagoromo left. I wasn't able to enter his world, or else I would have been there to stop my children's feud before it even started. Ophis's eyes held sadness as she continued. I had to watch as my family tore itself apart, and could not do anything to stop it. Ophis stated, her hand clenched and shook with anger, her magic flaring up. The pressure Naruto felt was intense. She truly is worth her title of being the infinite dragon god. Naruto thought as her magic built up endlessly, seemingly. Her hand unclenched and the pressure of her magic vanished, easing Naruto's breathing. But then you appeared. Ophis continued. Beaten, bruised, and a severed arm from Indra. I took his chakra and put it in you, and when I finished, you reverted to an infant. Ophis looked at Naruto. Not having any idea on how to raise you, I gave you to some humans, but the village was destroyed. However, the spell I placed on you to protect you tapped into your sealed chakra, and this allowed Miko to find you. Naruto stared at Ophis as she stopped talking. I don't believe you, he stated as he ended his chakra mode, but kept his Rinne-Sharingan active. I'll be leaving, thanks for looking after me. Wait, Ophis stated as she watched him open a portal. We still need to talk. What is there to talk about? Naruto retorted. Ophis waved her hand and next to her a small sphere of magic appeared, and inside of it was a child, around 8 to 10 years old. She had dark tan skin, long white hair, and 2 bunny-looking ears on her head with a cottontail above her butt. Okay, what is this about? Naruto asked as he activated his Byakugan, seeing she had a lot of chakra and her coils were developed fairly well for someone so young. While you were reforming for the last 10 years, I took some of your chakra and with the help of the tailed beasts, we created you an apprentice. Ophis stated. The sphere died down, and the child dropped to the ground. Naruto watched as her fingers twitched before her eyes opened tiredly, showing Naruto they were neon lime green. Ashura, meet Zest. Ophis stated as she motioned to the girl, who looked up at her creator and Naruto. 1. Zest lazily turned her head to Naruto. Nice to meet you, sensei. She said softly as she bowed. Naruto glared at Ophis. Why did you make her? Naruto asked aggressively. Ophis was taken aback, shown by the slight surprised look on her face. You seemed like you needed someone to keep you company. You seemed happy training that boosted gear user, so the tailed beasts and I decided to make you an apprentice for you to train. Ophis remarked. Naruto felt a small hand take his, and he looked down to see Zest looking at him, while holding his hand tightly. Please don't leave me, she said sadly. Naruto's heart clenched a bit. Do it, Naruto. She will be good for you, Isabu urged. Naruto gripped Zest's tiny hand and looked her in the eyes. 1874 skip, 1 month. Naruto blocked Zest's fists with one hand, no sage mode or tailed beast chakra, and pushed her back. Currently, Zest was wearing a modified battle outfit that was tight fighting but flexible. What she wears in battle in her canon. You are getting better, little by little, Naruto stated as he held up a small bag of candy. Remember, get 1 solid hit and this is yours. Zest's eyes were focused on the prize of sweets. I will hit you. I promise you this, Zest stated as she got up. Naruto chuckled. She has improved a little, but she was already inherently strong. Naruto thought. I guess you guys and Ophis are to be blamed or thanked for that. Both. The beasts responded, very happy that Naruto had returned to normal, somewhat. Nearby a clone was fishing at a river. Another clone was staring a fire. Another handful was setting up a small camp, which all things like the tent was bought with money Naruto earned by doing small jobs for people. It's hard to believe I'm a chakra being like you guys. Naruto thought as he ducked under Zest's kick. I mean, that is shocking, but then to have the infinite dragon god tell me she is my mother, it's a lot to take in. The tailed beasts mentally groaned. Naruto had these thoughts for the last month, and it was getting repetitive and annoying. While this was happening, little Zest was blinking many times as she did her best to get her prize, the candy in Naruto's hand. She was blinking due to the sharp pains in her head. Why is this happening? Zest thought as she missed her goal yet again. An image of Naruto and Tamamo training together appeared in her mind before it faded, being replaced with the next one. Zest landed on the ground and touched her forehead as she winced. Images of memories invaded her mind from the tailed beasts. Zest, you alright? Naruto asked as he knelt down. Now. Zest spun, jumped as she did, and landed a solid punch on Naruto's chin. The bag of sweets fell out of Naruto's hands and into Zest, who smiled, but grimaced in pain as more memories appeared in her head. That move was one of Tamamo's. Naruto thought as he rubbed his chin. Oh dear, Koko stated worriedly. It seems our little bunny has memory imprint. What? It means since she was made from our chakra, she has some memories, so she might have seen some of you with Tamamo in combat. Kurama huffed. Stupid. A paper fan appeared and smacked Kurama in the nose, making him blink several times. Oh, that blonde bastard didn't just do what I think he just did. Kurama shouted to the annoyance of his brethren. Naruto looked at Zest, who was squatting now, taking deep breaths as she held the candy to her chest. Did I win? Zest asked cutely. Or was that a cheap shot? That doesn't count, sensei. It counts. Naruto responded as he walked over and ruffled her hair. But next time try to be careful with the power you put behind that fist, it really hurts. Zest smiled weakly as the headaches were still strong, but were weaker than before. Thank you, sensei. She stated proudly as Naruto massaged her rabbit ears. Zest tensed and relaxed, making a happy sound as she pressed into Naruto's body as her ears were played with. Her ears are sensitive to touch, that is new. Naruto thought as he smiled weakly. Yasaka, Lukoa, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Shizen, Ryukan. I hope you are all well. His shoulders slumped when he thought that. I don't deserve to think about them, after what I did. Abandoning them when they needed me for a selfish desire to be alone. Naruto thought as he got the memories of his clones, who all finished their respective chores. But I can't be thinking like that now. I need to focus on protecting this world. Naruto stopped petting Zest, much to her displeasure. We are going to eat then bathe. After that some meditation and then bedtime. Naruto said as he looked at Zest, a trickster smirk on his face. So that means no candy until after dinner. What? Zest shouted as she tried to puppy dog eye Naruto. Please sensei, can I have some now? I worked hard today. Zest even jutted her lower lip out and looked so adorable, but with Kurama and Shikaka's bickering, Naruto wasn't able to fall for it. No candy until after dinner, young lady. Naruto said goofily as he swiped the candy from Zest's tiny arms, opening it and eating a few of them himself, earning a scowl. Hey, I bought it, I can eat it. Zest pouted for a while as they ate, but perked up when Naruto tossed her the candy again after cleaning up their mess. Now for warm water. Naruto thought as he stripped naked and got in the cold stream, Zest getting in behind him. Boil release, unrivaled strength. Zest watched in fascination as her master's body emitted a heavy steam that warmed the water. She hummed a bit as it warmed to the best temperature, and she relaxed. You are doing great, Zest. Naruto responded. Your combat training is going well, so I believe chakra would be a good place to start tomorrow. Zest happily nodded as she started to scrub her body down with some cloth towels. After relaxing in the warm river for a few minutes more, Naruto deactivated boil release and the master and apprentice stepped out of the river. They dried themselves off and got ready for bed, and Zest snuggled next to Naruto. Night, sensei. Zest mumbled as she started feeling drowsy. Naruto felt his heartstrings get pulled as Zest fell asleep as memories of Yasaka at this age flooded his mind. He shook his head, remembering them, but not letting them weigh him down. Night, Zest. Naruto mumbled. Skip 2 weeks. Let me divide your power. Naruto sidestepped, letting the current White Dragon Emperor, Lance, fly past him. Zest was nearby carrying all their supplies, keeping herself standing with chakra, strengthening her control and muscles from the weight. She was currently learning tree climbing, but it was on halt when Lance approached them and demanded to be his student and a fight, not waiting for an answer before he entered Balance Breaker and attacked. You really are annoying, Naruto stated as he ducked. And why are you desperate to be my pupil? You trained the best female user of the boosted gear, Lance stated as he turned to face Naruto. Now I want to become the best White Dragon Emperor. Did Albion tell you about me? Naruto asked confused, wondering how Lance knew of him. I did. Albion, from the armor, stated. The last 2 boosted gear users have defeated me, and Elsha was extremely strong after training under you. Drake stated you were a monster, which I find hard to believe when we faced each other in the war. So, I want to see what you did to make Elsha and the other guy so strong. Naruto sighed as he dodged and grabbed Lance's arm. I'll take this serious, well, a little bit, Naruto stated as his Rinne-Sharingan opened up. Amaterasu. Lance was emblazed in black fire, scorching the white dragon armor. Divide, 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 Albion shouted as he diminished the flames, the chakra being taken inside of him. Power, one he had never felt, flooded Albion and Lance. It was malicious and overwhelming. Naruto smirked as he closed his eye and sat down as he watched the white dragon scale mail burst from Lance's body, revealing a teen, about 17 to 19 years old, with red hair, white cloak and fancy clothing. That was amazing, Lance gasped, getting his breath back. You are really strong to overload divine dividing system like that with only one attack. Naruto smirked at the praise, but did not let it go to his head. Well, I would have ended the flames if you could not diminish them yourself. Naruto said as he looked at Lance. You will do better under me, but remember, I won't take it easy on you just because you are young. He really won't. Zest stated as she remembered getting punched hard in the throat once. She still had the bruise to prove it. Lance cheered while Albion was starting to get a little concerned. This might be more than we bargained for, but it will be worth it to kick Drake's ass again. Albion thought aggressively as his rival had beaten him twice in a row. Skip, 1890, Bay of Biscay, Biarritz, France. What do you think of that place? Zest asked as she pointed to a restaurant. Now 16 years old, an adept at magic and chakra, Zest was able to hide her ears with magic. Lance was no longer around since he had partially completed his training after 3 years, but got impatient and ran off. Thus, Zest was once again Naruto's only student. Maybe. Naruto answered, ignoring the strange looks they were getting. Both were dressing in formal kimonos, and thus were foreigners to the French people. I suggest Le Colsera, but be careful as they are uptight. 2. Naruto and Zest blinked and looked down to see Ophis standing between them, wearing a gothic French outfit, even wearing a plumed headdress. Hello, Ophis. They said together politely. Nice to see you again, Zest, Ashura. Ophis said happily as she took their hands. Now let's eat. Upon entering the establishment, the waitress led them to an empty table. You two have such a cute daughter, she said in fluent French, as she looked at Ophis, whose eye twitched. How old is she? Naruto put his hand on Ophis's shoulder. My daughter is 10 years old, Naruto said in French, having copied the French language with his Rinne-Sharingan on a previous trip to France. She is my pride and joy. Ophis wasn't happy, but allowed this as it would be unwise to cause trouble and bring attention to them. Ah, she is so cute. The waitress responded happily as she handed them their menus and walked away. I want to destroy this place, Ophis stated dully as she had Zest translate the menu for her. That human's ignorance is unbearable. I know, but please don't do that, Naruto said as he decided on what he wanted to eat and drink. I'll try to visit more often if you don't. Ophis's eyes widened ever so slightly. You promise, Ashura? Ophis asked with hope. Naruto nodded. Ophis smiled. As in actually smiled. A chill went over everyone's spines, in heaven, the underworld, and the human world. They ordered their food. So, why did you decide to visit Ophis? Zest asked curiously. For what reason would I need to visit my child? Especially one who hasn't visited me since you were born. Ophis replied, glancing at Naruto. But if he keeps his promise, that won't be a problem anymore. At least I'm doing better than Indra. Naruto joked, getting a chuckle from Ophis. That you are Ashura. Ophis giggled. They continued to chat and then ate their food before paying and leaving. Naruto had to wait, against his will, while Ophis took Zest clothes shopping, and after 3 hours making it evening, Zest walked out in a variant of Ophis's clothing, minus the hat. It was black and purple, and unlike most women in France, the waist wasn't incredibly tight for the slim waist crazy. What do you think, Ashura? Ophis asked as she walked out with the blushing Zest. This is embarrassing, Zest thought as she looked over herself again. I think she looks beautiful, Naruto said sincerely, his heart racing a bit when he gazed at Zest. Zest's blush deepened and she turned, unable to face him. He said I was beautiful, she thought. Ophis smiled and took Zest's hand and pulled Naruto up from his seat. I have a place I want to show you both, she said sneakily. Ophis guided Zest and Naruto to the coast as the sun set further. Once at a cliff overlooking the sea, all three of them gazed at the twilight. An array of oranges, pinks, purples and deep blues stretched across the skies as the sun went under the horizon line. While Zest mumbled as she looked at the scene, she flinched when she felt Naruto touch her hand with his, taking it in his as he looked on the horizon. Her heartbeat increased again as he gripped her hand and interlocked his fingers with hers. These intense feelings, Zest thought as she touched her heart. What are they? I will have to ask Ophis about them later. Ophis, who was keeping an eye on Zest, nudged the poor rabbit into Naruto, making Zest press her head against his shoulder. Her face red, Zest looked up and saw Naruto's confused look. Sorry, sensei, I didn't mean to, Zest shouted as she let go of Naruto's hand. No, it's okay, was just a little surprised is all, Naruto said as he held out his hand to her, waiting for Zest to take it. Zest hesitated, before slowly taking his hand and leaning into his arm. So warm, she thought as she held his arm with hers. Is this what being in love is like? They stayed like this for several more minutes before the moon and stars came out. Well, I'll be going, Ashura, Ophis announced. There has been some issues that I must take care of. Please do visit soon. Alright, I will, Ophis, Naruto replied. I had fun today. Ophis smiled as she opened a portal and entered the dimensional gap. Now where is that red bastard? Ophis thought as she sensed for Great Red's magic. Skip, 1896. Naruto and Zest were praying as two clones were burying Lance. Zest wore a black Gothic French outfit, based off of Ophis's, and Naruto wore a black suit. It had been 18 years since Lance abandoned his training. Naruto and Zest had found him as he landed on the ground, defeated at the hands of the current Red Dragon Emperor, who fled after seeing Naruto on Drake's request. Lance, you were a good student. Naruto thought as he prayed, opening his eyes as his clones finished burying him. May you have a peaceful afterlife, my student. Naruto stated. I hope you meet your family again. Zest finished. Zest, now officially 22 years old, had grown up physically, but her training under Naruto was nowhere near finished. She was his apprentice, thus she stayed with him until one of them died, which was impossible. Naruto was about to leave, but felt a familiar presence appear behind him and Zest. Well, isn't this a pleasant surprise? A soft male voice stated in surprise. Naruto turned ready to fight, but stopped when he saw Michael and Gabriel the Archangels. Wow, haven't seen you guys since the faction war. Naruto stated as he stepped in front of Zest protectively. Are you burying a dear friend? Gabriel asked sadly, feeling guilty she wasn't being respectful by interrupting them. Yes, but we were finishing up. Zest stated as she peeked out from behind Naruto. Who is this Naruto? Gabriel asked as she got a good look at Zest, and wanted to gush at how cute she looked. My apprentice. Naruto stated. While he knew these angels weren't here to fight or cause trouble, Gabriel and Michael were still powerful enough to give him a possible run for his money, so finishing this conversation soon was best for him and Zest. May I ask why you are here? Naruto asked politely. We are still traveling, so places to be, training to do. I see, but can I ask something of you? Michael stated somewhat desperately. Naruto quirked an eyebrow. What is it? Naruto asked cautiously. Michael, the current ruler of heaven, got on his angelic hands and knees and bowed. Please use your creation ability to make some new angels? He begged. Naruto blinked. How do you know of that ability? Naruto demanded. Only Zest, his students, and his family knew of his creation of all things ability with his Rinne-Sharingan. Ajuka Beelzebub mentioned it during our non-aggression treaty signing a long time ago. Gabriel stated as she knelt next to Michael. Oh, son of a bitch. Naruto thought as he pinched his nose. Of course, he would tell them. Alright, get up, you don't need to kneel. Naruto said as he motioned for the two archangels to stand. But why do you need me to help create angels? Can't you create them? Michael looked downtrodden and melancholic. Sadly, I do not possess that power. Michael sadly spoke. Only our father had the power of creation. We angels can't reproduce like humans, devils, and the fallen angels, so we have no way to repopulate our race. His sad look became one of hope and determination as he looked Naruto in the eyes. But you, one gifted with the same ability of creation, can make our kin, just like our father. So please help us, we will do anything you want. Michael begged again, bowing deeply to Naruto. Naruto sighed. Michael, you don't need to beg. Naruto stated. I'll help, thank you? Michael shouted, eyes big and crying as he hugged Naruto. Skip 1 month, heaven. Zest was training by herself while Naruto was working on creating the new angels. I hate this. Zest thought as she spun-kicked the air. Sensei hasn't had a single moment of rest except when he sleeps. Can't they see creation of all things takes a lot out of him? Zest finished her move set and took some deep breaths. And he hasn't had time for me this last month. She thought, blushing. Zest, said woman, jumped and spun around, seeing Gabriel. Gabriel. Zest said quickly with a bow. No need for that, we are friends. Gabriel said happily. Yes, we are. Zest mumbled as she looked over Gabriel. The angel, the one considered the most beautiful in the world, was just that. Her golden curly hair, bright blue eyes, and voluptuous figure that women would kill for. She reminded Zest of Naruto, but female. Zest blushed more. I was asked by Naruto to let you know he was going to bathe, and then go to bed. Gabriel said as she pulled out a small piece of paper. And he wanted me to give you this. She handed it to Zest, who thanked her and looked over it. It was a list of training he wanted her to do for the next day. Zest nodded. Wait, bath? Zest thought. A candle was lit over her head. Thank you, Gabriel, I'll do this tomorrow. Zest said with a bow and then a hug before she left the clueless seraph. All I did was give her the paper like Naruto asked. Gabriel thought cluelessly. Oh well, I'll get to my work. Bath. Naruto sighed in relaxation. Another day done and a few more, then we can return to Japan. Will be good to have authentic ramen again. Naruto closed his eyes as he wiped his mouth of the drool. Ayam and Tsuchiya appeared in Naruto's head, making him lose his happy attitude. Naruto lowered his body into the water, till from his nose up was above and below was under. I wonder what happened to them. He thought melancholically. I miss them a lot. And the old man, Grandma Tsunade, Pervy Sage, and everyone else from my home. So enthralled with his thoughts, Naruto did not hear or take notice of Zest entering the bath with only a towel. She dropped her towel, leaving herself naked, and entered the warm water. Her body accepted the liquid's soothing nature as she sat down in the bath. Zest waited in the water as she slowly moved towards Naruto. When she was close enough, she wrapped her arms around him, keeping him from moving, and pressed her breast against his back, her head gently against his. She felt Naruto struggle as he wasn't expecting this. Sensei Zest said soothingly, calming Naruto down when he recognized who it was. Sorry Zest, Naruto said as he relaxed into her embrace. I was elsewhere in my thoughts. Sorry if I hurt you. No harm was done, Zest said with a smile as she tightened her hug. But, her smile became a frown, her grip getting tighter as she pulled him into her body. Naruto turned his head and saw the sad look on her face. What is wrong, Zest? Naruto asked as he wiggled a bit and turned to face her slightly, enough to look at her but not see her naked form. You have been working a lot lately. I'm as scared that you will forget about me, she said timidly. I don't want to be abandoned. I have seen you with Gabriel talking. I feel like you are being taken from me. Naruto felt her body shake as she still held him. Tears fell into the water and mixed in as she started to cry. Naruto touched her hand, taking it in his. It feels like only yesterday when her hands were very small, that I could cover her whole hand. Naruto thought as he looked at her clawed hand. But now she is grown up and is scared. I'm very sorry I have made you feel this way, Zest, Naruto said carefully. I have been busy and have neglected you. Just like I did. Naruto became solemn and quiet. Like Tamamo? Zest asked as she wiped her tears. During her pregnancy. Naruto nodded. I also abandoned Yasaka, Naruto stated. I am the worst. Zest listened as she cried. You aren't, she said in a strained tone. You have been nothing but a great mentor to me these long decades, and I haven't been happier than when we trained and traveled together. Naruto smiled and faced Zest fully. You know how to make this old man feel better, Zest, thank you, Naruto said with a smile. Butterflies bubbled in Zest's stomach to its boiling point. She lunged at Naruto, pushing him and herself underwater as she locked lips with her sensei. He moaned as they surfaced, still connected and feeling each up. Tamamo appeared in his head, smiling and happy, and all the times they made love played in Naruto's head in an instant. Naruto's eyes snapped open and he pushed himself away from Zest, visibly hurt by this action. Naruto was breathing hard and looked at his hands, the marks of the sun and moon on his palms still. Zest, I'm sorry. Was it Tamamo? Naruto nodded. If it isn't too much, why didn't you use the Rinne-Birth Jutsu to bring Tamamo and Minato back to life? Zest asked as she got closer to Naruto, and took his hand in hers slowly in case he pulled away. I can't. That technique is a one-time use only, Naruto told her. The burden to bring back the dead when that person isn't a god of death can be a deadly game if the person bringing them back is like me. Zest, you know I am not from this dimension, so the rules are different here than in mine. Yes, I can bring back the dead, but at the cost of a lot of chakra and possibly permanent loss of my power. Zest nodded in understanding. You haven't answered my question? Zest said politely, wiping her eyes with her free hand. I can't be selfish, Naruto replied after a moment of silence. I don't know how the death gods will react, so I had to hold back when Tamamo and Minato died. Because this jutsu can bring back hundreds upon thousands of people back, with its one-use only handicap possibly still being in effect, I have to use it when necessary, and not for personal gain. Zest watched Naruto clench his hands. I had to bite my cheek and force myself to let my family die. That is a part of why I left. I couldn't stay knowing I had to let my family die to possibly save hundreds. Naruto choked as he started to tear up. Zest gently pulled him into a second embrace, running her hand through his hair. A sharp migraine pain shot through her head. A memory of Tamamo and Naruto, before Yasaka was born, was similar to their current position. Tamamo held him close and patted Naruto's back and rocked back and forth a bit, soothing her husband emotionally. The pain subsided and the memory faded. Zest shifted around in the water and did what she saw Tamamo do. Naruto immediately remembered this. Tamamo, he thought sadly as he wrapped his arms around Zest. Thank you, and I'm sorry I couldn't save you. He lifted his head up and looked into Zest's eyes. This time, her eyes widened when he gently placed his lips on hers. Thank you, Zest, he said as he pulled back, smiling happily. Said emotion felt her heart swell as she hugged Naruto again, kissing him again. I love you, Naru. Zest thought merrily, drunk on the fumes of love. With Michael and Gabriel, I want to marry Naruto. Gabriel repeated to her brother, who was a partial sputtering mess and strict brother. Why? He was married once before and is now a widower, and he has to take care of his apprentice. Michael argued passive-aggressively. He has spent this last month creating new angels for us, while we offer him nothing in return. That doesn't sound very nice to me, Gabriel retorted. It's equivalent exchange. He creates these angels, and he gets to marry me. Gabriel, sigh, I see where you are coming from. Michael sighed. But what if he says no? Gabriel metaphorically took a step back. I didn't think of that possibility. She thought sadly. But I will support you in your decision. Michael continued. Gabriel felt giddy again and skipped to her room, a big smile on her face, along with a blush. Chapter 7, done. Chapter 8, Fear the Ripper. Naruto, using Senjutsu, blocked another attack from 3 of the new angels he had created for the archangels. Doing better, but you all lack teamwork, Naruto stated as he evaded, the bells at his side jingling as he smiled as certain memories of his previous life in the elemental nations popped into his head. Oh Kakashi-sensei, I wish I had a copy of Makeout Paradise. Wait, I memorized the trilogy so I can write it and pass it off as my own. Naruto smiled greater while dodging dozens of light weapons without conscious thought. But I need an alias when I write them. He thought as he jumped, landed on one of his students' heads, then jumping again when the rest dog piled the ladder. Zest was sitting still nearby, her eyes toad-like with warts on her forehead and neck and many other places covered in deep purple bruises before a small black baton smacked her in the head, forcing the senjutsu from her body. The warts and other toad features vanished while the strike caused another bruise to form. You moved. A Naruto clone stated as he too was in master senjutsu like the original. Once you can master this, you can master senjutsu without the oil. I can't quite grasp this yet. Zest thought as the clone poured some more toad on her from a toad oil toad, which had a small cork tied to its belt, with a special ladle that was safe to use when training in senjutsu. Since the oil dried up quickly, Naruto not having found the right place for training, the toad would exhaust itself every day producing oil for Zest, much to its disliking, but it got pampered so it could deal with it. Zest sighed and closed her eyes as the clone gripped its baton as nature energy started to flood her body. The clone watches as a few spots became warts, but besides that her training was paying off. Now we need to find a place for her to master movement. I might have to create this place or ask Ophis if she knows a place. The clone thought as he saw Zest's body start to swell, thus he smacked her again with the baton. Zest ceased up in pain as she was hit in a painful bruise, her senjutsu fell out of her, and she rolled on the ground screaming. Well, at least she isn't a masochist. The clone thought thankfully as he sat down and touched Zest, channeling healing chakra into her, easing her pain and relieving her of her bruises. Meanwhile, Gabriel was watching Naruto train the three angels effortlessly, clearly seeing his mind was elsewhere. Oh Naruto. Gabriel thought sadly as she remembered what he told her about his wife and son. You have suffered greatly, and yet I can't help you at all. Flashback. Shortly after creating the last of the new angels, Naruto was called into a small meeting with Gabriel and Michael. Naruto knocked on the door and entered when he heard Gabriel say come in. Hello Naruto. Gabriel said happily as she sat at a table. Gabriel. Naruto said politely. Michael. Michael smiled and nodded while motioning for Naruto to sit. May I ask why you two needed to talk to me? Naruto asked as he took his seat. We wanted to talk about your payment. Michael said as he looked at the blonde. Oh, you guys don't have. We do. Michael politely cut Naruto off. We had little forces, and now in over a month you have restored our forces and are training them. We can't let you leave without something. So, Gabriel had the idea of, Naruto, can you please marry me? Gabriel said with childlike hope as shown by her big eyes with stars in them. Naruto blinked a few times as he registered what she asked him. His hand shook a bit, and he stopped it when he placed his other hand on it, which the archangels noticed. I'm grateful for the offer. Naruto responded with a sad look in his eyes. But I can't accept your offer. But why? Gabriel pouted, making herself look adorable. I lost my wife and son a long time ago. I did something and led to their passing. Naruto explained. And recently I have started to move on, as I think they would want me to be happy. Then why do you refuse my marriage proposal when you feel that way? Gabriel asked, as Michael sat there and let her and Naruto talk, as it was mostly their conversation. Zest and I have somewhat gotten closer than just student and teacher. Naruto told the archangel, unable to look at Gabriel's sad face. And I know angels will fall if they are led by their lust, so I don't want to cause more trouble. And don't angels look down on polygamy? We do in a sense, but when needed we can allow exceptions. Gabriel stated. Well, my answer is still no. Naruto said. With me and Zest still figuring it out, I don't want to hurt you, Gabriel. I hope you can understand. Gabriel pouted, her cheeks puffed out and her eyes watering. Please excuse me, she said softly as she stood up and left. Gabriel, Naruto said, but was stopped by Michael. Let her sort her feelings out, Naruto. Michael said sadly as he watched the door close behind Gabriel. But please do consider her. She does see you as someone worth loving. Now onto your payment. End flashback. Gabriel remembered crying that night before she went to sleep, only waking up to cry some more. Naruto had tried to talk to her, but she made excuses to not talk to him, feeling like she couldn't face him. She sighed and got up to return to her other duties, unknowingly sensed by Naruto and his clone. Maybe I could have accepted her proposition. Naruto thought as he blocked another strike. It could have worked, me, her and Zest together. He shook his head and tripped his second student before maneuvering the third into slamming against his teammates. Alright, that is enough for today, Naruto said as he looked at them. You did good, but you all need to work together, not separately. Yes, master. They said in pained unison. Naruto chuckled a bit, and created some clones to help them get to their bunks. He had tested every one of the new angels now, so he and Zest were going to be leaving soon. Naruto sighed. He liked heaven, but knew staying here was not where he was needed. Naruto walked over to his recovered apprentice, and popped his clone, gaining his memories and the Senjutsu chakra. I am proud of you, Zest, but we need to start the next segment of your training in Senjutsu, Naruto said as he corked the toad's mouth, stopping the oil. Yes, sensei, Zest said as she tried stand up. We shall rest for the night, and prepare to leave for tomorrow evening, Naruto said as he picked Zest up bridal style, getting a blush from her. Zest smiled as she leaned into Naruto's chest, hearing his heart beat through her ears. They bathed, ate dinner, meditated, and then went to sleep. The next day Naruto informed Michael that they were leaving. Are you sure you want to leave? Michael asked. You could stay here with us and keep training the new angels. Sorry, but I have made up my mind, Naruto said sadly. And I need to keep helping as best I can. I see, Michael said as he extended his hand. It was a pleasure working with you these last 3 months, Naruto. Naruto took Michael's hand and shook it. It was a pleasure, Naruto responded with a smile. The day went by fast, Zest and Naruto saying goodbye to everyone they could, and before they knew it, evening had arrived and the new legion of angels, Michael, Gabriel and other high-ranking heaven officials were there. Thank you again for all your help, Naruto, Michael said with a bow, and everyone around Zest and Naruto bowed. Thank you for everything, they said in unison. Naruto smiled bashfully as he scratched his head. Well, I did what I thought was right, Naruto said as he saw Gabriel walk up to him. I want you to have this, Gabriel said as she placed the small bracelet in Naruto's hand. It is a communication device. If heaven ever needs your help or you need ours, please don't hesitate to call. I won't, Naruto replied as he put it on his wrist. Thank you, Gabriel. Gabriel couldn't take it anymore as she lunged at him, wrapping him in a tight hug, almost pushing him over as she molded her body to fit against his. Naruto felt her lips on his cheek. I love you, please don't forget that, Gabriel whispered into his ear, making Naruto's heart beat faster along with hers as she let him go, not letting him talk as she bowed and left. Naruto was dumbfounded. Sensei, Zest said, jealous of what Gabriel just did, having heard what she whispered, and took his hand in hers. You alright? Yes, I am, Naruto answered, shaking his head of certain thoughts. Now let's go. Skip, 1901, Whitechapel, London, night. Why are we here, Sensei? Zest asked as she and Naruto walked the dark, misty streets. They were the only ones around at this time of night. Gabriel contacted me a while back, Naruto responded, keeping his awareness up. There have been a series of murders here the last few years by a person dubbed Jack the Ripper. She asked if we could deal with it because the victims are all women, and when they examined the bodies, they found evidence of magic. They also haven't been able to track it due to this person's ability to hide themselves. I see, and human exorcists don't have the capability yet of handling magic beings yet, Zest retorted. Useless. Don't be like that, Zest, Naruto said as he ruffled her hair, right between her hidden ears. You know that heaven is trying their best. Zest pouted, enjoying the head rub but knew it wasn't the time. Naruto tensed and slowly looked behind him. I sense someone is in trouble, he stated as he started to walk fast, followed closely by Zest. I do too, Sensei, Zest responded as she tried to feel out where it was coming from without senjutsu, which she hadn't mastered yet, only achieving an imperfect senjutsu state. Naruto and Zest turned the corner and saw no one but a woman, a heavily pregnant woman, running in desperation. Help me, she cried out as she saw the two of them dozens of feet away before she collapsed. Naruto and Zest ran to her side. Once close enough, they saw that her back was bleeding profusely. Gently turning her around, Naruto propped her up and activated his Byakugan to check on her baby. His eyes widened as he dropped her and jumped back, grabbing Zest. Sensei! What are you doing? She is hurt, Zest shouted as she looked at him, and then back at the woman, her own eyes starting to widen as well. The woman's stomach had gotten bigger, and was moving, as if something was trying to free itself. A knife ripped through her and carved a large gaping hole, and a child pulled themselves out of the woman. She was small, about the size of a 10-year-old, covered in blood and was naked. In her hands were 2 knives, purple and silver. Another failure, she muttered sadly as she looked at the corpse. She turned to leave but caught sight of Naruto and Zest. Maybe you can give me what I seek, this child said as she looked at Zest. Zest, don't kill her, Naruto stated. She must be the one called Jack. From the way we could not sense her inside the woman, that means her hiding ability matches who we are looking for. The girl tilted her head with an emotionless look that could rival Ophisa's. Jack, she said curiously, though still emotionless. I'm Jack. 1. The newly named Jack glanced at Naruto. I don't go after men, you may leave, Jack said before turning her attention back towards Zest, who had been gathering senjutsu while she watched Jack and entered her imperfect sage mode. Her neck, upper back, and forehead had warts, and her eyes with very thin rings became toad-like, far from Naruto's master sage mode. In an instant, Zest grabbed Jack's incoming wrist, stopping the knife from hitting Zest's skin. These knives, Zest thought as she punched Jack in the stomach. They are sacred gears. Jack took the hit, pain evident on her face, and took this opportunity to stab Zest's arm. Zest let Jack go and jumped away, her arm going numb and vision starting to blur. My poison is now in you, Jack muttered as she recovered from the gut punch. My Purim salamander can create many types of poisons. The one I use most is not a killing type. It will hurt, but mostly it slows you down. Zest grit her teeth and opened her palm, nature energy-infused chakra spinning to life in her hand. She is fast, but everything else is sloppy, Zest thought as she finished her prep work. Don't fight it, Jack stated as she prepared for her next attack. I will find what I'm looking for. Zest felt Jack close the gap between them and she slammed the Rasengan into the ground, creating a crater and shooting up a dust cloud around her and Jack, who stopped as she could no longer see her surroundings. Naruto, meanwhile, was sticking to the walls of the building watching the fight with his Byakugan. Good idea. With a poison that takes away body functions, blinding her and using her superior special awareness thanks to Sage Mode is the best course of action. Naruto thought amused before he looked at Jack and used his ability to sense her emotions. He felt confusion, sadness, and want amongst a sea of childlike emotions. Not a hint of evil in them. I see, this is interesting. Naruto thought as he continued to watch, the tailed beasts equally impressed. Jack showed no emotions, but felt intense fear as she could not see Zest at all through the mist and dust. Where is she? Jack thought as she stayed on guard, with paranoia starting to set into her young mind. A noise echoed behind her and Jack threw her knife, which sank into the wall, which started to smoke up and dissolve. Not there. Jack thought as the knife returned to her hand. Out of the corner of her eye, Jack saw movement. She lunged and swiped at the movement, only to strike a giant rat. Her breathing was getting uneven as her fear was getting stronger. Where she thought again as she started turning and looking around, noticing that the dust was settling and when it did, Zest was nowhere to be seen. She escaped. Damn it. Her eyes widened and she jumped from her spot as Zest appeared from above and struck the ground with her fist, her injured and paralyzed arm still bleeding as it swayed at her side. She truly is fast. Zest thought as she felt all of Jack's movements with her special awareness. Zest sidestepped a thrust attack for her face and clamped her teeth against the blade, stopping Jack's trajectory, and she was slammed into the wall when Zest spun around, making Jack lose her grip on the knife. Taking the knife in her own hand, Zest waited for Jack to stand up, her blood-soaked body making it hard to tell if she was taking any damage. You won't do. Jack muttered suddenly as she tried to stand up. You won't do why? She looked up at Zest with tears rolling down her cheeks, mixing in the drying blood as she hiccuped. Why can't I find a mother who will love me? She questioned no one. The knife in her hand began to be filled with poisonous magic as she lunged again, going for a slash attack. Zest blocked with the knife she took, and then headbutt Jack through the wall. She is nothing but speed and durability. Zest thought as she stayed still, trying to regain Sage Chakra from the few minutes she could hold it running low. Jack flew out of the hole and grabbed Zest's throat, and threw her over her shoulder, in a headlock. Why are you so different? She asked again while Zest exited her Sage Mode. Zest dropped the knife and tried to break free of Jack's hold as she couldn't breathe. Shit, Zest thought as she started to feel lightheaded. Removing her hand, Zest grasped for the dropped knife, and when she felt it, she grabbed it and slashed Jack's face, causing Jack to let Zest go, clutching her bleeding cheek, making her cry out like a child. Why did you hurt me? Jack asked as she summoned her other knife from the broken building. All I want was a loving mother, and here you go, cutting me? Zest felt bad, but ignored this feeling as she watched the child cry. I hate you! Jack shouted as she threw the knife, but the force was weak and it went a few feet and clattered to the ground while Jack continued to cry. Ayakak. The knives vanished as Jack continued to wail and cry, trying to wipe her tears away, smearing the tears/blood mixture on her cheeks, hurting her further when she rubbed the exposed muscle on her cheek from her wound. Naruto dropped down and took off his large cloak, draping it over the crying child. It's going to be alright, he whispered to the hiccuping child before she clung to him. Sensei? Zest stated as she started to feel her hurt arm again and the dizziness fade. We need to leave now, Naruto said as he activated his Rinne-Sharingan and created a portal to their safe house in Mexico. Upon arriving in their safe home, Naruto deactivated his eye and checked on Jack, who was sleeping. Sensei, I'll go clean her up and then get her some clothing, Zest stated as she reached out for the child. Alright, in the meantime, I'll start dinner, Naruto said as he handed Jack to Zest. After entering the bathroom, Zest removed her master's cloak, now caked in blood, from Jack's sleeping form. Propping Jack up carefully to not wake her, Zest filled the sink with warm water, soaked a washcloth, and started to gently clean Jack's body. With the blood gone, Zest was intrigued to see Jack's hair was pure white, unlike her light gray hair. When she was done, Zest fetched a needle and some string, to use to sew Jack's cheek closed, but when she checked on it, the wound was already sealed and scarred. Interesting. She isn't human if she can heal that fast. Zest thought curiously as she took the now clean but still naked Jack to her room and put her in her bed and covered her in blankets before searching through some of her own clothing and modifying them for Jack to wear. A soft knock pulled Zest from her musings and Naruto opened the door. Hey, dinner is ready, he whispered when he saw the sleeping child, surprised to see her pure snow-white hair. Zest nodded and left the room with Naruto. Both entered the kitchen and started eating dinner, which was soup and bread. So, did you learn anything during the fight? Naruto asked his apprentice. Yes, that I can't always rely on Sage Mode, and certain sacred gears or weapons made by man can overpower a supernatural being like me, Zest answered honestly. Those knives of hers paralyzed and numbed my arm, but I could still feel it. Very good, you are very observant, and yes, weapons and sacred gears can make anyone who has them greater than someone like us, Naruto stated as he ate. The true Longinus is the strongest of all sacred gears, most troublesome too. I actually asked Michael to pull it from the reincarnation cycle and to protect it, but he didn't listen. That is sad. Zest stated. You two seemed like good friends. We are, but friends don't always have to agree. Michael believes the true Longinus is needed for humanity. I don't. But that is just me feeling threatened by its potential. Zest nodded. You are being very quiet. Is something bothering you? Naruto asked, concerned. Sensei, I don't think Jack is human, she said as she looked at her master. I think she is a supernatural being similar to us, but not. Why do you think that? Naruto asked, wanting to hear her idea. Her unusual speed, durability, and shocking strength. I think Jack is a Reaper. Zest stated as she stood up and walked to a bookshelf. She picked one out and brought it to the table, flipping through its pages, finding the one she wanted and handed it to Naruto. Right there, Reapers are stated to be very quick and small to make them harder to fight and very durable. She was inexperienced, but Jack's speed and durability was off the charts. Naruto looked over the book and chuckled. You are very smart. The Biju and Office did right by that when they made you. Naruto chuckled, making all his tenants blush and say it was no problem with Zest blushing. But I agree with you, Jack is possibly a Reaper, but they aren't born like that. However she was born, it isn't the same as a native Reaper. They are strong fighters, but not like this. What will we do with Jack? Zest asked. She killed dozens of women, but I don't think it was out of malice. She said something during our fight. I think all I want was a loving mother was what she said before breaking down. Naruto put his hand on his chin as he thought about it. I think we will raise her. Naruto replied after some silence. She is strong, but is a child who is very impressionable. Leaving her alone for someone to take advantage of is not a good idea. Zest smiled and felt happiness swell in her heart. Thank you, Sensei. Zest said as she bowed. But remember, she is going to be your responsibility. Naruto said sternly. She will be your student, thus if she gets out of line, you will be who I talk to Zest. Do you think you can handle that? I will. Zest said with confidence. Alright then, we will talk to her when she wakes up. Naruto said happily as he ruffled Zest's hair, earning himself a purr. But now, we finish dinner, and then sleep. I'll contact Gabriel tomorrow. Zest nodded, enjoying his hand massaging her scalp, and she pouted when he stopped petting her. They finished eating and did the dishes. I want to sleep with you tonight, Sensei. Zest stated as she walked besides Naruto. Jack probably doesn't want to wake up to me next to her so. Naruto put an arm around Zest's shoulders and kissed her temple. Of course, but no more than sleeping, don't want to wake Jack. He said cockily. Zest blushed and pouted. I knew that. She thought as she and Naruto entered his room and they went to sleep, holding each other, enjoying each other's company. An hour later, Naruto's door opened and Jack stepped in, naked. She silently closed the door and got on the large bed, made her way in the middle and got under the blankets and nestled in between the two adults, falling asleep as they held her in their sleep. Chapter 8 done. Chapter 9, Cold Exam. Next morning, breakfast. Naruto and Zest watched as Jack, wearing one of Zest's old shirts that had been modified to fit her, eat her breakfast with an intense passion. Slow down, Jack, you might choke, Zest said as she was concerned for the child. Jack, whose cheeks were puffed full of food, nodded and chewed what she could and then swallowed it. Gross. Naruto thought with his eye twitching a bit. I wouldn't bitch, Naruto. You did the same thing with ramen, Kurama said with a laugh. What am I saying, you still do? 10 minutes later, Jack was sitting still as the medical angel scanned her body with Zest watching over the procedure while Naruto told Gabriel all that he knew about Jack the Ripper. So, the famous stalker of women is just a small child who is looking for a loving parent. Gabriel sighed as she drank her tea. This is most problematic. How so? She may be a child, but she took many lives, Naruto. Gabriel said sadly. I wanted to see that the Ripper was taken care of, but now that this is known, I don't know how to decide on her punishment. Then don't punish her, Naruto suggested, getting Gabriel's attention. Zest and I have already decided care of her, so you and Heaven won't have to worry about her at all. Gabriel thought about it. I believe Michael will accept that. After all, he does trust you. Gabriel replied as she finished her tea. Thank you, Gabriel, Naruto said as he bowed. Gabriel smiled as she felt pride and happiness swell in her chest. It was no problem, Naruto. Lady Gabriel, we are done, the angel said as he entered the room with paperwork. It seems Lord Naruto was correct. The little one is half Reaper. Naruto and Gabriel were stunned. What about the other half? Naruto asked cautiously. The angel sighed. That is the confusing part, he said as he went through the notes. It seems she is half Reaper, but the rest of her is made of souls of unborn human children, mainly those of prostitutes. What? Naruto and Gabriel shouted as they stood up. I am just as confused as you are. The angel stumbled. I don't know how it is possible either, but it is what it is. Naruto face-palmed. How could this be possible? Naruto thought as he racked his brain over how it could have happened. Besides that, her sacred gear is a poison salamander type. The angel continued. It has a salamander spirit inside of it, so she will be able to communicate with it when she is trained enough. Interesting, Naruto replied as he sat back down. My little Reaper is just full of surprises today. Agreed, Michael is going to be very upset at this, but I'll do what I can to explain it. Gabriel sighed. Thank you for all your help today, Gabriel. Naruto said sincerely. Anytime, Naruto. Gabriel said as she hugged him, planting a kiss on his cheek, making them burn with a small blush. Until we meet again. Naruto nodded and waved as the two angels left. Sigh, this is going to be more trouble than I thought. Naruto thought with his eyes closed. As usual, the most fun is always centered around you, Ashura. Naruto opened his eyes to see Ophis hovering above his face. Ophis, he said, taking in her appearance. She was wearing a sombrero and a blanket poncho over her favorite outfit. Indeed, your little addition is most interesting. Ophis said as she hovered to the chair Gabriel had left, and she sat in it. To think unborn children's souls would gather to be a half-reaper child with a sacred gear. Did you have anything to do with this? Naruto asked bluntly. Ophis shook her head. Of course not, my magic isn't suited for creation, she stated. Ophis-sama. Zest said, surprised to see the infinite dragon lowly in the kitchen with Naruto, as she and Jack entered the room. Jack was now wearing sweatpants with little boots tucked in them with a very revealing top that covered her. She had gloves on too. Jack's attire from F/Go, but with sweatpants instead of the thong and no cloak. Naruto believed Zest made it for her. I see you have become a mother, Zest. Ophis said in an emotionless teasing manner, making the bunny frown. Mommy, who is this? Jack asked curiously as her lime green eyes looked at Ophis. Jack, this is Ophis-sama, she is your grandmother, Zest said respectfully. Ophis's smile widened a bit at those words and even more when Jack lunged and hugged her. Ophis-bachan. Jack called out happily. Yes, child, I'm your grandma, Ophis said as she nuzzled Jack's cheek with her own. Skip, 1945, Germany. Naruto, Zest, and Jack walked through the busy streets. They were wearing clothing of the time, with Jack wearing Naruto's old cloak that he used to wrap her in 44 years prior. Jack smiled as she pulled it tighter around her body, remembering how she got to keep it. Flashback, 22 years ago, Dragon Mountain. Naruto was sparring with a young dragon, who was on even footing with Naruto in his base form. You ready to give up? Naruto asked as he sat on the dragon's back. You seem tired, Tannen, let's call it a day. Not yet! Tannen shouted as he spun around, knocking Naruto off him and lit him aflame with his meteor flame. Naruto wasn't unscathed, but his clothes weren't as lucky, now singed while his cloak was on fire, and what wasn't was charred black. Such a waste, look how it got me this a long time ago. He thought as he threw the cloak aside and proceeded to beat Tannen. You done? Naruto asked Tannen, who was waving a small white flag in surrender. Your training is far from over, Tannen, sensei. Naruto saw Jack and Zest appear next to him. You were awesome, sensei, Jack exclaimed. Thank you, Jack, Naruto said as he looked at his destroyed cloak. He walked over and picked it up, revealing that it was still usable, but was too small and tattered for him to use. Sensei, can I have that? Jack asked as she pointed at the cloak. Why? It's ruined, Zest stated as she looked at it. I know, but it is the same cloak Sensei used to carry me in when you found me. I don't want to see it get thrown away, Jack said with a blush. She blinked when she felt Naruto throw it over her shoulders and fasten it around her neck. I think it suits you, my little reaper. Naruto chuckled. Now you need a mask and you really will live up to your heritage. Jack hugged Naruto's waist. Thank you, Sensei. End flashback. May I ask why we are here, Sensei? Zest asked as she held Jack's hand. From what my informant has told me, it seems a very particular vampire has snuck into the Nazi party and has been manipulating their leader these last few years, Naruto stated. And so, we are going to finish it. Correction, you are going to fix it. Why can't we interfere with the war itself? Jack asked curiously. With our abilities we would be able to end it. That we would, Jack, but I won't use my powers against humans, Naruto responded as he patted her head. I would be no better than that vampire, and humans fighting humans isn't something I wish to stop. I can't coddle humanity, or else they might depend on me. It hurts knowing I'm letting hundreds die, but it is the price I pay for being neutral. However, we interfere when those with powers like us are involved. Thus, we will kill the vampire that is pulling their strings? Zest asked. Yes, you two will. I'll be at our hotel. Consider this a test to see how far you two have come in your training, Naruto explained as he and his family entered the hotel. Jack pouted. These last 44 years her mother and teacher have been training her in many things, even training under Naruto with Zest in some things. She saw this as a waste of her time. I can deal with the vampire on my own, Jack stated with a pout. Mother will be in my way. Zest narrowed her eyes at her daughter/student. Pride before the fall, Jack? Zest stated wisely. If Sensei says we work together, we will work together, do you understand? Naruto laughed as he watched mother and daughter talk. He paid for a small room and they left for it. We will start in a few days, Naruto continued. We will plan and then you two will strike. Jack and Zest nodded. That night, Naruto and Zest relaxed as they bathed in the small bathtub. Sensei, why do you trust Jack so much? Zest asked. She is skilled, her sacred gear training has come a long way, but she can be hot-headed at times and I believe this may be a bad idea to send her in. I understand your concern, Zest, Naruto said as he looked at his apprentice. But sometimes, tough love and hard lessons are necessary teachers on the path of training. My hope is Jack learns from them on this mission. Zest was shocked. You mean to tell me you are doing this on purpose? She asked loudly. Zest, sit down. Naruto ordered his apprentice, glaring at her. Zest took a few deep breaths and sat back down in the water. I believe you and Jack can do this, but you are correct in saying she isn't fully ready, especially with the vampire you two will be facing, Naruto said as he looked at his naked apprentice. But do you think sending a rebellious teen in to fight such a powerful foe is such a good idea, sensei? Zest asked concerned. No, I don't, but she needs to get snapped out of her rebellious stage. I don't want to see her die. Naruto responded sadly. Zest's angered face softened a bit when she saw his face. She sighed and sank back into the water, bubbles forming as she exhaled under the water. She looked at her beloved master, seeing his eyes full of memories of his failures. Over the years, Zest had gained some memories from the tailed beasts, and one of them was the loss of his son and wife. She put two and two together and figured that the thought of losing Jack would bring that up. Slowly moving forward, Zest propped herself onto Naruto's shoulders, pressing her face into his neck, her pressing against his chest. Zest? Naruto asked as he felt her lick his neck. Naruto, Zest said into his shoulder with a blush, having always called him sensei, your wife would want you to move on. You know this, but you keep your heart locked up. I want to see you happy. Naruto moved his arms and pulled Zest in front of him, staring into her lime green eyes, before he closed them and kissed her. Zest felt sparks of pleasure flood her system, her small cottontail bushing a little. Naruto separated from her and pressed his forehead against hers. I know. But I still feel loyalty to Tamamo, he said as he held Zest. I am so confused right now. I want to be happy, but... Zest caressed his cheek and kissed him again, silencing her master. I'm not telling you to forget her, Naruto, Zest whispered when she separated from him. But to see what you have in front of you right now, in the present. Naruto looked at Zest. I love you too, Zest. Naruto replied. Skip. Alright, you two, remember, sneak in with Jack's presence erasing ability and take out the vampire. Then sneak out after that. Naruto told Zest and Jack. Yes, sensei, they said as they bowed before leaving. Is everything set, Office? Naruto asked as Office appeared next to him. Of course, Ashura. Dio Brando is in position, she replied. 1. Good. Does he know what his job is? Naruto asked. Not to kill them but push them to their limits, and hopefully break Jack out of this stage as you put it. Office replied, poking Naruto's cheek. You owe me a head rub when this is over, Ashura. Naruto sighed as Office poked him. Alright, I promise. Nazi base. Jack and Zest snuck in undetected with Jack's Reaper magic, Presence Eraser. When in use, Jack and whoever else she wanted had their body covered in magic that erased sound, scent, and the body so no one could see them, and with their presence erased, not even a sensor type would be able to find them. Too easy. Jack thought with a cocky smile as she looked around the corner, and saw their target. Dio Brando. His presence, it's overwhelming a bit. Zest thought as she saw Dio. He was a tall man, muscular build under his uniform, long golden hair to his shoulders spiked up. I'll take care of this now, Jack thought as she summoned her Purim Salamandra. Before Zest could stop Jack rushed forward with her incredible speed, blades prepared to strike when Dio turned and shot magic from his eyes at Jack, who was barely able to block with her weapons, canceling out her magic that covered her and Zest, who was currently gathering as much nature energy as fast as she could. Did you really think a simple trick like the Reaper clan's presence eraser would allow you to get the drop on me? Dio asked cockily as he turned to look at them. How? Jack asked as she prepared for the worst. Dio grinned maniacally, showing his fangs to the two. I've killed and eaten many Reapers in my day, to the point I have an acute ability to sense when one is near while they use their cute little parlor trick, Dio stated as he clenched his fists. And now I get to feast upon your blood. Zest, having entered her still incomplete sage mode, jumped and grabbed Jack before Dio could land a hit, ice sprouting where he punched. Zest took off running. Useless! Dio shouted gleefully as he shed his uniform and wore an old-styled outfit. His outfit from Phantom Blood. Zest, what are you doing? We need to kill him! Jack shouted as she punched Zest in the ribs hard enough for her to let Jack go. Are you stupid? Zest asked sarcastically. That bastard would have killed us. We need a plan, because rushing in blindly will get us killed. Jack growled and stood up. I know, Jack said aggressively. But I feel like I have to do it head on. You heard what he said, a sneak attack using my magic won't work. We need to work together, Zest stated as she looked at her daughter. Jack's body relaxed. You are right, Mom, Jack said as she looked at her mother. Let's do that. Zest smiled but lost it when she felt her shoulder get slashed. Don't worry, it will only last a few minutes, Jack told Zest as she walked past Zest, who collapsed to the ground, her body spasming and tensing up. Zest tried to call out before her body went numb, her sage mode ending prematurely. Meanwhile, Dio stalked the halls, his face calm and focused as he slowly made his way, listening for any sign of Zest and Jack. He tilted his head to the left as one of Purim Salamandra's knives whizzed past his head, embedding itself into the wall. Oh, my dear Reaper child! Dio said as he spun around and used his arm to block a kick from Jack. Did you really think close-quarter combat was a great idea? Jack felt her leg get frozen in a mere second before she kicked off him and landed on the ground, her left foot to her knee frozen. I'm surprised you were able to avoid being frozen further, Dio stated in actual shock. But no matter, a child like yourself is a mere pebble to a mountain, Jack smirked. Oh really? Jack asked as her hand shot up and made a pulling motion. Dio jumped, the earlier knife digging into his leg, poison seeping into him and decaying his leg. Payback is a bitch, Jack stated as she caught her second knife and used both the lather and acidic poison on the ice, melting it. This is useless, Dio shouted as he ripped his own leg off before the decay got to his torso. What the fuck? Jack shouted as she saw no blood in Dio's body, but an oozing lava-like energy that boiled, and soon a new leg regenerated from the stump. You've done it now, Little Reaper, Dio stated angrily as he walked up to her. He kicked her sacred gear out of her hands and punched her through the wall and onto the ground, ice encasing her body, locking her in place. Now you can't run from me anymore. He poked her cheek with a sadistic grin. He touched Jack's forehead and moved it to her left eye. Yuck. Meanwhile, Zest was starting to get feeling back in her body when she heard Jack scream. Jack! Zest thought in a panic as she tried to force her body to move. Stupid kid, why did you paralyze me? Why? Why am I useless? I can't protect myself, Naruto, or Jack, so why the hell am I even alive? Don't worry about a thing. Zest's eyes widened when she appeared in the tailed beast's psyche. Son Goku? Zest asked as she looked up to see said being. Yes, 'tis I, Son Goku, the glorious Monkey King. Son hollered proudly. I am here to give you a gift. What? Long ago, Naruto parted some of Shikaka's chakra to his daughter, Yasaka, and a sand gourd. It shields her from harm. On that day, we dubbed this the tailed beast's blessing, and now it is your turn to receive yours. Son said as he reached forward, his hand clenched for a fist bump. Zest in her kneeling position, reached up and bumped her hand against Son's, and felt his chakra flood through her body. With Jack was in pain. She was bleeding on the left side of her face where her left eye was, the edge being cut open, but her eye also missing from its socket. Dio cackled as he crushed Jack's left eye in his hand. Now that I have had my fun, I'll kill you and present your body to that rabbit, Dio stated as he grabbed Jack's throat, applying pressure slowly as he broke the ice keeping her still and lifted her up. Now, don't be scared, I will only end your life. Jack could barely breathe. Her head was pounding and she was losing a lot of blood even with her healing factor now sealing her scar and inner eye socket. Mommy, she thought as she started to lose conscious. I'm sorry. Dio dropped Jack and clung to the ceiling, hissing at what happened. Jack, said child opened her right eye and saw Zest, crying as she held her wounded daughter. You did this. Zest stated angrily as she put Jack down on the ground. You hurt my daughter. Zest turned and glared at Dio as he returned to the ground, wary of Zest. Her power has been amplified somehow from a few minutes ago, Dio thought as he analyzed Zest. What is going on? It's getting hotter in here. Zest took some steps away from Jack, her glare never leaving Dio. Nearby, a shadow clone of Zest popped, and she re-entered her incomplete sage mode. I'll kill you, Zest said as the air around her warped and the heat increased before Dio stepped back in shock as her body was glowing with lava-style chakra mode, looking as if she was made of living lava. Behind her was a tendril-like tail made of lava. What is this? Dio thought as he felt fear creep into his cold body. Dio felt the heat increase as Zest appeared before him, arm cocked back to punch him in the frog Kumite-style Naruto trained her in. Dio cross-blocked with his arms, Zest's hand slamming into it, breaking Dio's arms and the lava-like chakra, making Dio scream in pain. Die, Zest stated coldly as she used her other hand to punch Dio in the chest, her lava-like fist burning through his body. Gah! Dio garbled before his body started to burn from the inside out. Zest deactivated her technique in sage mode as Dio's body was reduced to nothing, turning and not looking back as she went to her daughter. I'm sorry, Jack. Zest cried as she cradled her child, who clung to Zest in turn. Chapter 9, done. What if Rinne-Sharingan Naruto falls in love with Rias? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.